From the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Jeff Rust with your Sports Center update. First on The Fan, the Pacers look to take a commanding 3-1 lead before the series heads back to New York. Aaron Nesmith, a game-time decision for Indiana with a sprained ankle. 5 o'clock tip on TNT and Max. Coverage on 910 ESPN Portland starts at 4:30. The Pacers are 2.5-point favorites. Nuggets guard Russell Westbrook said this morning he's having hand surgery to repair 2 fractures he suffered during the season. Florida Gators big Alex Condon pulling out of the NBA draft and will return to school for his junior season, according to multiple reports. On the diamond, the Mariners back home after dropping 3 of 4 to the Astros, hosting the Nationals for a 3-game set. Logan Evans on the bump for Seattle, Mitchell Parker for Washington. 6:40 first pitch on Root Sports. The Mariners still holding a lead over the Astros in the AL West, but it's down to a game and a half. And Game 4 of the Western Conference Final in Edmonton as the Stars look to even the series with the Oilers. Puck drops at 5 o'clock on ESPN. Oilers minus 150 on the money line. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
It's back. The 11th annual Fan Golf Classic at Langdon Farms Golf Club happens Tuesday, June 24th. Presented by your local Toyota dealers. Reserve your foursome now at 1080thefan.com. This is Danny and Dusty.
Meringatang is going to be a thing.
You're not coining anything new.
With Danny Meringue and Dusty, the Fan Man Hera.
I'll throw some monkey sounds in there and call it good.
The old Danny Meringue pie?
Danny and Dusty on the Odyssey app and 1080.
Yeah, this is going to be awesome.
The Fan.
Good afternoon. Hey, welcome in. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Danny and Dusty with you. How y'all's doing?
Doing good. How you doing?
Oh, great. Sun is shining. It's just short week this week.
It is a short week.
Times are good.
That's what happens when there's no Monday.
Yeah.
It didn't exist.
Yeah. 4-day work week. This gets bandied about a lot.
I do love it.
It is great.
Oh.
I don't know how much I buy the whole people are more productive with a 4-day work week, though. Because a lot of these things, then it comes down to, they adjust. And then they just start, all of the data is like, 4-day work week works.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, well, how about like 2 years down the road?
Yeah.
Instead of like right away, 6 months in, these people are really working.
Yeah.
What is it like years down the road? You know?
Yeah, no, I mean,
How's that look?
I had some of those, like, every day's a work day when you're in the military, but like we did when we were deployed, we would cycle. Sometimes you do 12s, sometimes you do 10s.
Mm-hmm.
It would depend on, mission readiness, preparedness, and what the bad guys do kind of in a situation. But like,
who's the bad guy now?
You could find yourself in those, and look, it was nice. And the big reason we did it is to fight the burnout. When you're at it every day, if you can get a day and let your body and your mind recover, like that was a big deal. Like finding a way to have a quote unquote off day.
Yeah.
And again,
same as radio.
It's a very, I was supposed to say, it's a very different world.
Oh.
But like, even like you and I have said this a million times. We are blessed to do what we do, and it's not a difficult job, but it doesn't ever really stop, and your brain doesn't ever really get to go off. And so, like having that would be kind of nice in that sense.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's fine.
Oh no, again, I'm
5-day
not
work week
complaining
is fine.
about it. I'm just saying if we went to like 4 5-hour shows or something like that, like would that bother me? No.
I think it would.
Nah.
I think you'd end up eventually getting bothered by it. That's a lot of shows.
It is.
That's a lot of time.
Yeah.
In a row. But that's the other thing is people are like, you only work 3 hours a day?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Don't count the endless amount of hours that go into.
But then
all
I go,
the
you know what? No.
Yeah. I don't argue with it. I don't.
You're right.
It
is.
I don't tell people when I have like 19-hour days. It's like, oh yeah, no, it's totally cool.
Yeah. 19-hour days.
I had a couple of those during the playoff runs.
Golly.
Yeah, those are not fun.
That doesn't sound fun at all.
No.
That doesn't sound fun at all.
Not fun.
Jeff Russ, no soup for you today?
No soup for me today.
Mm.
Fighting off a sneeze throughout that entire update. That was super fun.
And Wussel
I can never say his name.
Wussel Westbrook.
That's the bee in my bonnet is old Russell Westwick.
Look, playing injured over there.
Yeah.
Jeff Rust.
Allergies these last couple weeks killing me. Yeah.
I hit
to sneeze.
Hit the grass seed capital of the world golfing yesterday, out at OGA in Woodburn. That's always fun. I made it through the almost the entire round without completely sneezing out of control. I think I made it to like 16 before I let out like the 5 sneeze, like, oh my God, what is that? I'm dying outbreak.
Mirage.
But no, it's that time of year, man. We're hitting. I saw we got a 90 appearing on the weather report.
What? Seriously?
The end of the deal. Yeah, it was 90 yesterday on like not this Wednesday, not tomorrow, but the week after, I think.
I see none of that. I see 83 is the highest.
Oh,
and that's tomorrow.
Oh, we bumped down.
Yeah.
Oh God, it's definitely changed. Yeah, it says 76 now because it was way up when we were looking at it on Sunday, Saturday.
We're in. I'm ready to say it. Spring 4 is here. Spring 4. We are here. We've made it out of spring 3.7. We're to spring 4. 79 today.
Love it.
83 tomorrow. 69. Nice. Little change of pace for you. Maybe sprinkle a little rain in. Who knows? Get frisky with it on Thursday. And then we're in the 70s. We got a good run of like the 70s and 80s.
I just saw 84 on Friday.
On Friday. I got 81 on mine.
Yeah.
Duck. Controversy. Controversy is here.
It's computers.
Controversy
That'd
is
be weird
here.
if it was 81 at your place and 84 at mine.
Yeah, we don't live that far from each other.
Yeah.
There's global warming.
Yeah.
Just swirls it around.
Russ lives closer to the sun. He's got 20 feet of elevation change. Jeff Russ and I live right down the street from each other.
There you
go. Yeah.
I do love me some beautiful weather though.
It's great. It's great. We've got this past weekend was a yard work weekend.
Oh,
getting stuff done.
Oh, okay.
Trimming the hedges and whatnot. I now understand why people have. I love doing it. There was a time where I loved mowing the yard, trimming bushes, all that stuff.
You understand landscaping service now?
I'm out.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm out.
I hate it.
There is something cathartic about it.
Oh, it is.
At times.
Yeah, but it's
times.
having to do it. Like I got grass shamed by my neighbors. It happened. So we've got the.
Well, you often talk about you're like, I don't know how it happened. The grass got out of control. Sometimes grass does that here. It just comes out of no. You're like, where did that? What in the world is happening?
I let it went another cycle because of a little sprinkling we got.
Got to stay on it.
And it was like, oh crap, I can't mow today because it was literally mowing while it was raining while I was wanting to go mow. And
got to stay on it.
Go mow the wet grass, and then I didn't have time, and then blah blah blah. It
built
built
up.
up. Anyways,
My wife never buys that.
Oh,
I'm not mowing. It's too wet. No, you're gonna go mow. The heck I am.
No, it like you end up spending hours out with as much grass as we have. You end up spending like 4 hours out there because it just keeps clogging up. It's just not worth it. But my neighbors, they've got so we each have an RV parking spot. There's on the, if you're looking on the outside of the house, on the left side of the house, ours on the right side, so they're right next to each other. And they mowed like kind of onto my property by like 6 inches.
Oh, a little purpose pitch.
And it was like, okay, I get it, dude. Like, I'm gonna throw my wife under the bus here. She lost the extra set of batteries for the lawnmower.
Wait, how do you lose batteries to your lawnmower?
Yeah, welcome to
Where do they go? Where are they going?
I've explained this before. My wife is OCD about anything being out, and it will just get put somewhere, and it will make no rhyme or reason. It drives me up the freaking wall. But so I have to go. Yeah, we'll find them eventually.
It's wild.
Brother, I have found stuff. I'm just like, why is this here? What happened? What was the process for this? And then I get you shouldn't have left it out. And I'm like, oh, okay. So
that's wild, dude.
Yeah, but when you've got the electric mower, you can't mow the entire yard without having the extra set of batteries. Because we usually do the backyard and the front yard 2 days apart.
Yeah.
Because you have to use all of the batteries to mow each yard. And so when I get done with one set, I'll walk inside, start charging them.
See,
and
now
then-
we're talking.
Yeah,
now we're talking.
So that way, I can go do it in 2 days.
Yeah.
But with only one set, I couldn't even finish the backyard
Mm.
or the front yard.
Mm-mm-mm.
And so it was like, well, this has become a problem. So I had to I had to run down the old depot. And let me tell you, those batteries, they're super cheap.
They're not.
They're not.
They're not.
$100 later.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, cool. So
Mhm.
now we can actually maybe do the front and the back at the same time with the extra set of batteries.
I really want to know where those batteries are.
Yeah, I know. I mean, they're the size of my fist, so they're not like easy to hide.
Do you have a Ryobi?
No.
Are they neon green and gray?
No. These are blacks. We have the Ryobi yard tools, but
those are hard to misplace.
no,
too.
the mower is the Kubota.
All right.
So
Look, man. I guess them's the struggles there.
yeah, of course the
Having-
batteries cross over.
The whole idea, though, that she's OCD, but she doesn't know where she puts them.
Oh. Well, here's the thing: if it's her stuff, it'll make sense. If it's mine, and anything that falls into the tool category is obviously mine. And so it's just like it's a guessing game. It's like
I'll tell you what,
anywhere in the laundry room /
you guys are perfect for each
We
other.
are.
We you guys really are
Yeah.
perfect for each other.
Yeah.
Because you have. I'm sure that she probably has the same stories because you like a tidy area. Like you don't like a mess. So you probably put some stuff away that is of hers.
I'm a spreader. So like when I sit down, like if you guys can't see it on the camera, but I always have like all of my stuff. I always put everything out. That drives her crazy. Like
Okay.
that's the problem. Is like I put all my stuff out when I do something,
Mm-hmm.
and that sets off alarm bells for her. Alarm bells.
Alarm spells.
Yes.
Golly, bud.
Yeah. So that's my constant struggle of like, okay, don't spread everything out. But I am a basket of cats. I am a mess with stuff. And I
Mhm.
like I said, I do have everything out here, but it's always like,
You know where it is.
yeah, always.
You know where it is.
My wife lost her wallet for a week last week.
A whole week.
Yes.
Just didn't know where it was.
No license, no credit cards, no nothing. And it was like very convenient. She's like, "Can I have your credit card?" And I was like, She had a little trip to the nail salon that turned into a nail salon and a little extra.
Well, it's easy when the charges all come back to you, bud.
And then
What
a
were
little
you
trip,
doing there?
little trip to the grocery store, then lunch date with her friend, and then another little food delivery. And I was like, "What's going on here?
Buddy,
What's going on here?"
hey, them's the breaks.
I know.
That's what happens.
It's hard out here.
That's what happens.
It's hard out here.
She'll pay you back, though.
Yeah.
Because you've discussed this before. You guys keep everything separate.
We do in the sense of like I'm not controlling with anything. She just wants me to run all the finances, which is a good thing because she will lose her wallet
For a week. Where was it?
She said she had it, I think, in a different purse that she had in her car.
That's where you need to look for your batteries.
You're right.
That's where I'd start my investigation, Danny. Is you need to start going through her purses and just being like, found the battery to the lawnmower.
Well, it's random because I don't know much your guys' wives, like, do they ever carry anything in their purses that matters? I guess you have
Yeah.
kids, so you have to.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what's in there.
She
I don't want to know what's in there.
Like, I'm just flaming my wife right now. It's just terrible.
No, it's fine. She doesn't listen.
No, she doesn't. When your guys as spouses leave the house,
Yeah.
do they leave their wallet behind?
Frequently.
No, mine does not.
It drives me crazy.
No.
You are a full-grown adult. If you are leaving the house, I don't care if you're going on a walk.
Yeah.
Take your wallet with you,
Now-
even like a credit card and an ID.
My wife's is her phone.
See, my wife will do that too.
I cannot tell you how much I hear this.
See,
Just over and over and over. And it's like, it's right here. Like she loses her phone or just leaves it somewhere. And then I get that and I'm like, I found your phone. And then I get like 8 more of those rings. I'm like,
mine is not. She ditched the Apple Watch. She got tired of the Apple Watch. She asked me to hit the Find My Phone
Oh.
on my phone for her.
Okay.
So that one's
Just
great.
knowing what bothers you too.
Yeah.
This drives you crazy.
It's just the thing is, my wife is incredibly smart, funny,
Yeah,
hardworking, all those things. Her little intrinsic things, it's perfect because it's like all of my buttons.
Boop, beep, boop, bop,
Oh
boop,
yeah, I'll just
punch in those buttons.
flawlessly. But
Yeah.
my intrusive thoughts win with her 90% of the time, so I get even.
We gotta tell you, it's hard being a perfect husband.
It is.
You know,
it's tough.
You know, we're just out here, just being perfect. There's no
Crap
issue.
my wife puts up with is
there's
hilarious.
there's no issues on this side of things.
No, you kidding me?
None.
Yeah.
Oh man! All right.
It's the fun times. Man.
Hey, we got a text on the fan text line. Dusty, as we speak, I'm watching our yard guy mow and edge our yard as we sit in our air-conditioned house eating homemade teriyaki chicken in comfort. It's money well spent. Damn, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm picking up what you're putting down there.
I will say, shout out to everybody who was hitting the grill hard this weekend. I had multiple golf outings that all I smelled was the luscious barbecues that were barbecues and smokers. Y'all are doing good, Portland metro area.
I'll reserve my judgment. May smell good
Oh, the smells were incredible.
till they Lincoln Riley that brisket and just
yeah,
ultra well done.
yeah. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
It's tough. Don't put your meat on the internet if it's gonna be that dark.
That was a horrible brisket. And then he tried to redeem himself. And it still didn't look good. He likes well done. And I can't subscribe to that. Not one bit. I can't do it. I cannot do it. That's awful.
I can't abide it.
Yeah. All right, let's get this show on the road, shall we?
Do it.
NBA had things this weekend.
A lot of basketball this
There were
weekend.
games this weekend.
None of them were really great. Well, Knicks Pacers were pretty good, but
I would say that was a pretty good one.
yeah, I guess OKC Minnesota was good at the end, but it was not the best basketball I've ever seen.
It was. Look, all I wanted was some drama.
Yeah, at least we got some of that.
We're getting drama.
Because a 40-point butt kicking was not on my bingo card.
No.
That game was over immediately.
That series still hasn't started yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, actually, it
No,
is. It
OKC
started.
won, yeah.
OKC won last night. And I'll tell you what, those Timberwolves are putting up a little fight.
No, at least some of them are.
I mean, it'll be over.
Yeah.
It'll be over. What? Come Wednesday?
Probably.
Yeah. Heads back to Oklahoma. Like, come on.
I mean, when your best players come out and put up a combined, was it 20 shots for Minnesota? Yeah, it's not.
Okay, let's talk about that.
You want to go home?
Let's talk about that.
Okay.
Let's talk about that because that was something that really bothered me about ESPN's halftime show yesterday. It was mind-blowing what is happening because Anthony Edwards cannot win there. Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
The
All right, the Oklahoma City Thunder take a commanding 3-1 series lead over the Minnesota Timberwolves last night in Minnesota with a 128-126 win. Had a little bit of drama at the end. It was a furious finish there. But I think the first half is what got people all hot and bothered there because OKC looked like they were just going to be running away with it yet again. As they came out in that first quarter, drop a 37 piece on Minnesota, it looked like they were kind of in a little bit of cruise control, right? 8-point lead at half.
Yeah.
And it was the fact that Julius Randle and Ant Edwards did not have an impact in that first half. Really, from a scoring output at all. Edwards had 2 shot attempts.
Mm-hmm.
Look, Julius Randle had 5 points on the game.
Yeah, finished with 7 total shots. And number one, you have to give the Thunder some credit for going to the box and one and junking up the defense. But like, it's not just that that Edwards took 2 shots. It was, and this may end up being the New Orleans Pelicans series for Dame, for Ant, for understanding what the true offensive burden is of being a lead creator in the NBA playoffs, like when it matters, because he looked confused and he looked passive. And yes, he was getting the other guys involved, but this is like the whole idea of like, oh, those are good shots, those are good shots, those are good shots. They're good shots in the sense of like you're getting good looks, but there's this analytics can't quantify it, but the dude has to be a dude. That's kind of what it comes down to, and you have to find a way. Yeah. And if you can't, it's not necessarily an indictment on you, it's an indictment on your team and the inability to get you going in other ways.
Well, this was the issue that I had, is last night at the half, ESPN rolls out in their halftime show an entire package of what OKC was doing to Anthony Edwards. Mm-hmm. Box and one, so all eyes were on him. He had 4 guys are playing zone, 1 guy's man-to-man on Anthony Edwards. No matter where he goes, multiple bodies are collapsing on him.
They're putting a big body at the tip of the spear.
And so he is, and they show the highlight reel where he is driving in and he's kicking out because there's 4 guys collapsing on him. And right when after they explain it and everything is laid out, Stephen A. Smith just comes on and starts screaming about Ant Edwards' 2 shot attempts. He needs to be taking more shot attempts than that. This is the same guy who gets criticized for not having a feel for the game. Mm-hmm. And he was drawing attention, kicking it out, and Minnesota just wasn't shooting. Julius Randle went 1 for 4 from the field. Like
the bench was great. I mean, bench had 30 points in the first half.
And it was one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't. Now, is there Chris Finch not preparing Ant Edwards for what could be coming? That could be it. Mm-hmm. Just as you said with that New Orleans series where Dame getting jumped at half court and the double team being relentless on him at half court, Dame knew what was coming, especially for the last 3 quarters of that game, because it was from start to finish for 48 minutes, just relentless. But there is that adjustment period to it. In the second half, Anthony Edwards was far more aggressive. Mm-hmm. But to criticize the guy for only 2 shot attempts when the reality of it was he was getting the ball to guys who weren't making open shots. And he was trying to create opportunities for them, which he did, and they weren't capitalizing on them. The bench was good. Jaden McDaniels was good early in that game, too. I mean, he was shooting the lights out early, except for from 3 in that first half. I think McDaniels was 1 for 4 from 3. I mean, he had some pretty clean looks because Ant was drawing 2 defenders on that side of the floor.
And I use that Pelican series as the parallel because I've talked to Dame about that series a lot. Not only how transformative it was for him, but it's this idea of like, remember Alfred Camino kind of got blamed in that series? I want to say he shot like 46% from 3. But the problem is, like, if your offense is like, if the defense is winning every single time by getting like, the whole idea is like they want to get the ball out of your hands, get the ball out of your hands, get the ball out of your hands. Like that's the whole idea of doing this. And because they will live with those guys taking those shots. even good shooters, because they can't do anything else and they can't create beyond that and put the defense in further rotation. And that's the thing is like you have to take what the defense gives you to an extent. And it was the conversations I had with Dame about this were really interesting because I was always of the mindset of like, well, he's getting off the ball. He's doing what he's supposed to do. At some point in time, that has to break. You have to find a way to split it. You have to find a way to put the defense in rotation by yourself. You have to find a way to break it down. And if you like going back and just watching Ant's drives in the first half, they caught him off guard. He did there's numerous times where he jumps in the air and he gets collapsed on and it just doesn't work out for him. He gets to the free throw lines a couple times. He does find a couple kickouts. It was very much he didn't really know how he wanted to attack it. And then the first, I want to say 3 possessions of the second half, all drives, 2 led to wide open kick out threes. And they knocked down. The other one leads to the finish at the rim. And you're like, there it is. So there was a thing that he figured out. And I'm interested to see how far he can go.
That's why I said the preparation by Chris Finch, not bracing him and getting ready. The biggest sign of disrespect in the NBA is a box and one, because that team is essentially telling you it doesn't matter who else is on the floor. We don't care about those guys.
Yeah.
Those guys are meaningless. And it's not disrespect to Ant. It is disrespectful to the other 4 players for the Minnesota Timberwolves on the floor with Anthony Edwards. And so I don't criticize him for saying, guys, we are professionals. And you know this just as well as I do. You put a NBA player in a wide open gym with wide open shots, it doesn't matter who they are. Rudy Gobert would knock down threes in an open gym, right?
Yeah.
They were getting some bare ass open looks, but they weren't converting on them. And like that, I'm saying we are putting way too much of that weight, especially in that first half, on Ant Edwards. He needs to shoot more. Look at what OKC was doing when he did drive in that first half. It was legitimately 4 bodies around him.
And that's where Minnesota's got to be smarter about whether you get Dante in there earlier to have him try to trigger the offense. Because Conley, again, is an organizer. He can't really he can't do what he did 5-6 years ago in Utah, which was use his elite burst and quickness to get into the paint to cause problems, to put a defense in rotation or to compromise the shell to where you're just like, okay, we can't let Mike's not going to beat us, but we can't let him get to 10-foot runners where he's going to shoot like 80% on these things. Like that's not a thing we can allow, and that's not what he can really do anymore.
I do agree in part with this text, though. The way Ant passes the buck, too, I didn't get enough shots to say I struggled. Come on, not getting shots up is a sign of struggling. I agree with the way he passes the buck part, but not getting shots up isn't necessarily always a sign of struggling. It is those other guys need to make their shots too.
Yeah.
And they are all paid professionals.
I will say though, the other guys did show up. I mean, Na ends up with what? 23 points on 5 of 8 from 3. Dante's 21 on 5 of 8 from 3. I mean, Jay McDaniels ends up 22 on 15 shots. I mean, the other guys showed up. The guy who just hasn't, man, I don't want to say he's kind of slipping free here. Gobert has been bad.
Yeah.
He has been bad on offense. I should say on offense. That is always the issue with him. Everybody talks about him getting played off the floor. It's not for the defense, folks. It's never been for the defense. You're out of your freaking mind if you think it's because of the defense. It's because he's got brick hands.
Yeah.
It's just not there, man. And he's had a couple shots in this series where I'm just like, I go full Patrick Ewing. What is that? Do you practice that shot? You have hands the size of dinner plates. Grab the orange sphere and dunk the damn thing.
Put ball through hoop.
Yeah. It's just he had a post catch where the defense was trailing behind him. I think it was not this game, but the game before. Instead of just turning and just going to a little baby hook from 4 feet, he turns and fades and goes to a chest push shot.
Yeah.
And it was just
just be tall.
Brother, you are 7'2".
Mm-hmm. Did you know that Shea and Nikhil are cousins?
Oh my God, this is worse than Kevin Love from Lake Oswego and grew up playing with Klay Thompson.
Yeah,
it's egregious.
They're cousins. It's bordering. It is bordering. Jerome Bettis is from Detroit.
Yeah. It's bad.
They really. At first, I was like, huh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Now it's like, yeah, I get it. I get it. I get it.
Yeah, the Alexander, we get it.
Yeah.
Real quick on the
I did not put that together.
Oh,
though.
no? Okay.
I didn't. The Alexander Walker
Okay.
and then Gilgeous Alexander. Didn't get it. But now I got it.
The hyphen,
Guys,
it'll get you.
I understand now.
I will say this: I don't want to sit here and just be like denigrate the Timberwolves and
Yeah.
not highlight the fact that Chet, Jalen, and SGA went for 95 points combined.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Yeah. Jalen Williams and SGA had themselves a game and a half.
Yeah.
Those two put up 74.
And boy, do they need it because nobody else showed up for them.
Okay, let's talk about that because I think two guys did. Two guys did, and they have
Crucial.
been, and they've been awesome. That After Us was SportsCenter.
Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a SportsCenter update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Laurelhurst Market Steakhouse and Butcher Shop, a great spot for any occasion. And don't forget, you save 10% on your Butcher Shop order when you dine in. Menus and more at laurelhurstmarket.com. First on The Fan, the Pacers look to take a commanding 3-1 lead before the series heads back to New York. Aaron Nesmith, a game-time decision for Indiana with a sprained ankle. 5 o'clock tip tonight on TNT and Max. You can catch the coverage on 910 ESPN Portland beginning at 4:30. The Pacers are 2.5-point favorites. Nuggets guard Russell Westbrook said this morning he's having hand surgery to repair 2 fractures he suffered during the season. Florida Gators big Alex Condon pulling out of the NBA draft and will return to school for his junior season, according to multiple reports. Over on the Diamond, the Mariners are back home after dropping 3 of 4 to the Astros, hosting the Nationals for a 3-game set. Logan Evans starting for Seattle opposite Mitchell Parker for Washington. 6:40 first pitch on Root Sports. And Game 4 of the Western Conference Final in Edmonton as the Stars look to even the series with the Oilers. Puck drops at 5 o'clock on ESPN. The Oilers are minus 150 on the money line. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The Fan Merch Locker has a new black 1080 The Fan hoodie, as well as classic long and short sleeve tees. Get yours now at 1080thefan.com.
Well, we talked about the Thunder taking a 3-1 series lead and only talked about the team that's won one game in this series, the Timberwolves.
I kind of tried to get on this on Friday. We didn't have time for it. Are the Thunder a team that they become kind of like the Celtics were a couple years ago, where they're just that good and we're just already tired of them, even though they haven't won?
No. I still think that they're like at the infancy of the Jays together in Boston. Well, remember, the Jays just couldn't get over the hump, and they couldn't. It was just like, oh boy, when is this going to happen for them? There's talent. They're well coached. You know that they're going to be good, but when is that going to be? I think with this OKC team, we just don't know enough about them yet.
Just because they're so young.
And they haven't
been tested.
Been here.
Yeah.
Like they haven't, we haven't seen them enough to get tired of them. It's just, we've heard about it coming for so long that there's this feeling that they should already be battle tested, and they're not, and they haven't been, but we'll get sick of them soon enough. I think there's just not enough people that truly know, because again, the big networks, they don't highlight the small market teams as talented as they are.
And boy, is the NBA going to be pissed when they have an Oklahoma City, Indiana NBA Finals.
That's great basketball that they don't know how to market.
Yes, it's very dumb. And speaking of not knowing how to market or not understanding them, there's, you alluded to two guys that are showing up for the Thunder, and we're kind of talking through them through the break. Caruso and Dort are just winners, man.
Alex Caruso, and those are the two guys. I mean, when you said nobody's showed up outside of Chet, Jalen, and SGA,
the offensive burden.
Those two guys, Dort and Caruso, they're not winning these games without them.
No,
because what they do on the defensive end, and that was where like the box and one was so effective. When you have Dort on Anthony Edwards, and forcing him into a direction and coming from that offside, is Alex Caruso, who is a master at just poking that ball out and just finding a way to be impactful. Like, good luck.
And Chet Holmgren's a helper.
Yeah, who just takes up a ton of space.
That's where he thrives. Like him and Evan Mobley, they are not like, Wemby is the hub of a defense where you're just like, he alters everything. Chet and Mobley are incredibly good help side defenders. Like, yes, they're guys that you could see them winning, defensive. Obviously, Mobley did win one Defensive Player of the Year. I could see Chet winning one in his career. But they're better when they don't have to just anchor the defense. And with Dort, you're kind of inverting the anchor and putting the anchor out front and being so physical and so big and so strong at the point of attack that you can be a little bit smaller. Like,
they are the kind of defenders, Dort and Caruso, that remember when Jeremy Grant got here, it was, hey, he's a great help side shot blocker. But when you're getting gashed, he's rendered useless.
Yeah, no, it's like when you have a clear path to the lane, it's like, yeah, those guys aren't nearly as good, but you have to have the stoppers up top.
They're really hard to find, like especially having two on the same team with Caruso and Dort. But like that is where like all of the hope that people had about what Jeremy Grant could be defensively for the Blazers, he needs guys like that. Well, he's got a Toumani Camara, which is good, but that's still not good enough to really maximize what that is. And that's what Chet Holmgren is great at. He's great at seeing it and covering that space is
because
number one.
His mobility at 7 foot is great.
But seeing that action come towards the rim and knowing how to time it, it's an art. And a lot of guys just don't have it.
No, it's great feel and kind of spatial awareness and knowing how much ground you can cover, how much ground you can give up and then still recover and get back. It's like the Zach Galifianakis, math problem meme. It's in your face, and it just kind of happens intrinsically. You either have it, or you don't. It's kind of when you talk about like Kevin Love being a rebounder. It's just like you just know. And the Thunder just have a lot of those guys. Like Cason Wallace is another one of those guys. Cason Wallace is a guy that I can see the Thunder not being able to hold on to, and him going on and being like a one-time All-Star, like a really good player. Like I think incredibly highly of him. Like I really do. I don't think they're gonna be able to keep him for the long haul. And it's just funny because they just can, like, they have like a puppy mill of these guys.
I don't know if that's the best description of it.
You just have so many of them. They just like young kids just coming through and just like, oh, yep, new home for him, new home for him, new home for him.
Okay, so not a kill shelter.
No, not a kill shelter.
Those are awful.
Yeah, no.
Those are awful.
No.
You said puppy mill. I'm like,
no, they just
yikes.
they just produce them like crazy, and they just have so many of them. And you have, that's when we talked about luck versus creating your own luck. That's where they've done incredibly good work. Is they have the core of kind of what they are, so they can go target very specific guys, and they've done incredibly well with that. They've had their misses. They've had the Usman Jangs of the world. They've had the Pokus of the world, but they've also had the Darts of the world, the Carusos of. Remember, Caruso's one of their G League products.
Yeah, which they had to go trade for
10 years ago.
Yeah.
But Wallace is another guy. Isaiah
Got
Joe's another guy. Wiggins is another guy. Like, they just have a lot of these guys, and it's funny in a sense that, you know, this Thunder team, we see them and it's presumptive. Oh, they're going to win the title. They're going to win the title. And then you go out there and you watch them get the living crap kicked out of them by 40 points.
Yeah.
And it's like, they're not there yet, but they're damn close.
Yeah, I think they just said, like, we can afford a nothing burger.
Yeah,
and
but nobody wants to get smacked like that. And
No.
honestly, we spent so much time talking about this game that happened yesterday. I mean, you do have to give the Wolves credit for coming out the way that they did in that game, because they put it on that Thunder team immediately. That game was over in 6 minutes.
Yeah. All right. Did you know Matthew Stafford and Clayton Kershaw went to high school together?
Oh, no way.
Yeah. Blazers had a pre-draft workout today. Who was there? And what can we expect as we get closer and closer to the draft? Because we got some big landmark dates coming up over the next couple of days. Danny and Dusty on the Fan. right, Blazers getting ready for their draft, selecting 11th. Still gets in my craw. They lost a spot. It's a lottery. It's a lottery.
It happens.
They had workouts today, though. Who's in town today?
The name I think people would know is Caleb Love, formerly of North Carolina and Arizona.
Yeah.
So first of all, we should preface this. Tomorrow is the withdrawal day for the NBA draft.
Okay.
So we are less than a month away from the NBA draft. And the way the NIL landscape has just, if you think it's transformed football, it has done so much more to basketball. It is insane the amount of money these guys are getting to go back. We already saw Yaxel Lindeberg go to Michigan for $3 million. And Yaxel was getting legitimate first-round love, but I don't think he was going to end up as a lottery pick. And he got $3 million to go to Michigan for a year.
That sounds like a good call on his part.
Look, if you're not sure of exactly where you're going to go, or if you're not getting like a couple lottery promises, I get it. Because $3 million, and like, yeah, he'll be a little bit older in the class. Your draft position probably isn't going to change that much.
Yeah.
So do you want to go make, $1 million as a late first, or do you want to go make $3 million and get to touch the ball an awful lot at Michigan?
And then have an opportunity to work your way up the lottery even further in a not as loaded draft. It's still good.
It's going to be interesting to see how this draft shakes out next year. But for as far as this draft is concerned, the guys the Blazers brought in today, you're looking at like some top 60, top 75 guys. Like you're seeing from Montana, you had Money Williams.
Awesome name.
Great name. Great story too. But yeah, the guys the Blazers have brought in so far, mostly kind of second round guys and some G League guys. And I think that's kind of the opportunity. Caleb Love has got a pretty great college resume.
Yeah.
Led two programs at North Carolina and Arizona to very successful runs. We saw Caleb Love, and he had the game against Oregon. When he's one of those guys that when he goes off, just goes completely nuclear. But he can also just shoot you out of a game.
Well, yeah, and be a non-factor or a hindrance to you winning basketball games.
Seeing him up close in person, I was like, oh, he's a little bit more stout than I thought. He's a little bit bigger than I thought he was.
Well, that's fun.
Yeah,
he's got that physicality that he shows as a guard, but it
because that's how he's going to cut his teeth in the NBA. He's going to be a defensive guard.
Yeah,
and he's going to be a defensive guard who's got to be more consistent as a shooter. He's going to kind of be a floor leader kind of guy, like just an organizer, and he's got some experience. He's cut his teeth doing that and leading two preeminent programs in 3 different conferences to high levels of success. But as the weeks go on, the recruits, the prospects are going to be better. I would imagine later this week you're going to start seeing the influx of guys that are kind of the first lottery batch. It's going to be interesting to see who the Blazers can get to come in at pick number 11.
And that's the thing is like, we got people on the text line asking, what are the chances that guys like Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey? None.
I'd be stunned here's the thing. Because the Blazers front office has very good relationships with a lot of these agents in the younger circuit because of obviously Mike Schmitz and his relationships that he's developed over years at Draft Express. You might get one of those guys in a private workout as kind of a favor, but I would almost guarantee it's not going to be a public workout.
Well, there's a lot that goes into it too because you're bringing these guys in for a workout where they are on the floor. They don't want to risk injury for a team that is in all likelihood not going to be able to move up to get them.
Not only that, like everybody talking about trading up, nobody's trading up in this draft into the top 5.
No,
that's just, it'd be stunning. I think the days of like the 76ers moving up to number 1 to take Markelle and even going from 3 to 1, I think those days are gone. With the way this new CBA is, I don't think you're going to see anybody doing that. Because it's so valuable to get the highest end talent at the best deals you can get them at and make sure you get that guy.
Yeah.
So
the one team that does that I do have questions as to whether that or not they would do it is and be willing to move down. That is Philadelphia this year, sitting at 3 and knowing that it's guard heavy. Like, what do they do there? If
All
they're
signs seem to point because they have nothing going forward as far as like cheap controllable contracts. I mean, they paid Maxey, they paid PG, they paid Embiid. They don't have anybody else in the pipeline.
So wouldn't it behoove them to move down to 5 and get somebody cheaper, and then also get assets from Utah, which has another pick in the first round of this draft, or has a bevy of future picks? Like, if you are lacking that developmental pipeline, you should probably build it with cheap talent,
The way
because they can't spend anywhere else.
Yeah, with where they're at though, they need the highest end talent because they are so pot committed right now, and that seems to be the thought coming out of Philadelphia.
Yeah.
There's a few people who are like, oh, I could see them. Like, I don't see them trading out of that spot.
Yeah, it would be interesting though, because if you get your hooks in and you're like, the difference between 3 and 5 really isn't that much. What? I mean, does it? Because is Charlotte going to go guard again too?
I think if you ask Utah, the difference between 3 and 5 is pretty significant.
It's huge for them.
Yeah,
it's huge for them.
And that's the thing is like, when have you ever seen Danny Ainge kind of bent over a barrel and losing a transaction?
But if they get their guy, which is more feasible than Philly getting their guy, because whatever they get's not going to be Embiid or Maxey right there.
It's hard to see.
Yeah,
it's hard. It's with we talk about what shapes the NBA, and it's the CBA. And I look at the CBA, and guys are trying to optimize the talent to dollar ratio more than ever before. And I think that's going to go Morty here, the vernacular. It's the optimization of roster building. Yeah. And I think that's just going to be the big buzz that's going to carry through the next 7 years.
So it will be a roster construction issue, Sean.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. NFL's OTAs have opened up, and it is a story of who is there and who is not, and who got hurt. You'll never guess. Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
If you need to
Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Jeff Rust with your Sports Center update. First on The Fan, the Pacers look to take a commanding 3-1 lead before the series heads back to New York. Aaron Nesmith, a game-time decision for Indiana with a sprained ankle. 5 o'clock tip on TNT and Max. Coverage on 910 ESPN Portland begins at 4:30. The Pacers are 2.5-point favorites. Nuggets guard Russell Westbrook said this morning he's having hand surgery to repair 2 fractures he suffered during the season. Florida Gators big man Alex Condon pulling out of the NBA draft and will return to school for his junior season. Over on the ice, Game 4, the Western Conference Final in Edmonton as the Stars look to even the series with the Oilers. Puck drops at 5 o'clock on ESPN. The Oilers are minus 150 on the money line. And the Mariners back home after dropping 3 of 4 to the Astros. Hosting the Nationals for a 3-game set. Logan Evans starting for Seattle opposite Mitchell Parker for Washington. 6:40 first pitch on Root Sports. The Mariners lead over the Astros in the AL West, down to just a game and a half. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
Jump back to earlier parts of your favorite fan shows on the Odyssey app. The only way to rewind Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan. Danny and Dusty.
My Uncle Gus is the uncle that likes to work the grill. As soon as he walk in the house, he's like, get away from that grill. You don't know how to start no fire.
With the latest on the Blazers, Ducks, Beavers, and the hottest topics in sports.
We're going to eat a hamburger, okay? Here we go. Chandler, throw the match. Now that's a fire.
Danny and Dusty on the Odyssey app and 1080.
I'm not cooking a brontosaurus burger.
The Fan.
Hour number 2, Danny and Dusty with you on this Tuesday afternoon. Thanks for being a part of our day, letting us be a part of yours. 1080 AM, 99.5 HD2, the Odyssey app, twitch.tv/1080 AM The Fan, and the party people on the YouTube stream, youtube.com/1080 AM The Fan. What's up, y'all? We have got the Fan Golf Classic. Do you know that?
I do. It's less than a month away.
Your local Toyota dealers present the Fan Golf Classic, 11th annual out at Langdon Farms Golf Club, Tuesday, June 24th. We are less than a month away. Afternoon round, sold out.
Gandhi.
Sold out. Morning round, where you get them Victorico's breakfast burritos, and you get Matt's Barbecue after your round. Savory little nugs right there. We do have spots available in the morning round, so go and sign up at 1080thefan.com. Click on the Fan Golf Classic logo, and come party with us out at Langdon Farms.
Real quickly, I have made the breakfast burrito my breakfast of choice pre-golf.
Yeah, it's a solid. It's handheld. It's mobile. It can get messy, but it's usually pretty clean. You can control it. Eat outdoors. Yeah. It's a great pre-round meal.
It's everything you need. You get your carbs. You get your proteins. Like you're just good for the
got
for
your
the round.
superfoods.
It's perfect.
It's got everything you want. All right, so come golf with us. Your local Toyota dealers present the 11th annual Fan Golf Classic out at Langdon Farms Golf Club, presented also by Henderson and Daughter Windows and Doors and Philbrook Law, injury and accident attorneys. So go to 1080thefan.com. Let's party. OTAs opening up across the NFL. Did you see
with the O being quite prevalent?
Yeah. Well, did you see Shamar Stewart still out in Cincinnati? He's there, but still holding out. He has a slotted rookie contract, but somehow, some way, the Bengals can't figure this out. And I'm not totally blaming the Bengals, but I'm not totally blaming Shamar Stewart either.
This is
because it's the Bengals.
It is the Bengals, but it's also just like I said. I don't want to cast aspersions on the guy, but like when I saw Dad that blinged out, I was like, nope. Yeah. Want no part of this. Also, we can talk about dads a little bit later because Hallebertton's dad's back.
Yeah, Hallie's dad is back for home games only. Yeah. Could you imagine him going to the Garden? No. I would not go. If Brian Windhorse is being accosted as he walks out of the Madison Square Garden, Hallebertton's dad would not make it out.
No, God no.
No, that'd be scary and dangerous. OKC though, he might be able to go to OKC for the finals. I don't know.
Yeah, he should be fine there.
Should be fine there. There's friendly people in OKC, yeah. I think. I don't know. What What else is there to do? College World Series is there,
I haven't heard of too many stories come out of Oklahoma City.
except for the guy who won't put his shirt on.
Yeah.
Free T-shirt, won't even put it on. What's wrong with that guy?
Monster.
All right, one guy who is at OTAs, but not anymore. You see Joey Bosa got hurt again today? He's been a Buffalo Bill for one day.
It's the day that ends in Y.
And this one is, and Sean McDermott said it is concerning. He left with a calf injury his very first day. And that is, for those keeping track at home, a new injury to the laundry list of injuries that he has had in his career. He missed 12 games in 2022 with a groin tear, missed 7 games in 2023 with a foot sprain. He has missed 2 games with a concussion, 2 more games with a concussion, 9 games with a foot bruise, and 4 games with a hamstring strain.
Noticing a trend here?
He is
outside the concussions?
He has also not missed games, but appeared on the injury report with a finger dislocation, a neck strain, another foot bruise, ankle sprain, concussion, wrist fracture, lower back lumbar sprain, and a hip bruise. Joey Bosa, according to Draft Sharks, they do the injury risk assessment. Guess what his chance of injury in 2025 is? To miss at least 2 quarters of a game.
2 quarters? 98%.
78.9.
That's low.
That is he is in the very high risk category.
Well, I mean, look at how many lower body injuries he has.
Yeah.
It's just it's concussions and lower body injuries. And Bosa is another
He's projected to miss 3.23 games.
Yeah, I mean the projected to miss 3 games. You're talking about 2 quarters. Like I would have said it was near 100%. He's one of those guys that it's just too big for his frame.
Yeah,
he's too powerful for his frame. And like those like the guys that are that powerful, you know, the Zions of the world, you know, in basketball, like there's only one Shaq.
Mm-hmm.
When you're just that big, that powerful, that bursty, that explosive, your body just goes, man. It doesn't matter what sport it is.
And his brother is the same way.
Yeah, it's just when you until late in his career, J.J. Watt was maybe like the only guy that was durable.
And I wonder how much of it goes back to their dad had both the Bosa boys on a workout regimen growing up. Yeah. In how much that affected where they're at right now. Because, look, there is a lot of data and science. Like when we were growing up, it was you don't want to lift weights until you're 12, right? Which was like the earliest that you would start. Now they're saying, no, there is value in strength training at a younger age, but you've got to be very smart with it. And it feels like, and if you saw pictures of those 2 kids when they were little, holy smokes. Oh, I mean, they were jacked in when they were like 10.
I mean, another family like that, the Gronkowskis.
Yeah.
It's the same things.
Yeah.
It's just.
Gronk was always healthy.
Oh, yeah. Just beat to hell. But I mean, like that was a guy, like a whole family was, you know, and same with the Watts. The same way. Like, and JJ's kind of the anomaly there where he was healthy for a long period and then it just piled up on him.
Yeah. Also, out of OTAs, no Kirk Cousins. In Atlanta.
I mean, we've reached
he's saying no. Yeah, good.
We reached the point of if he's played there, I'm going to be shocked.
I've got a fully guaranteed contract. I won't go to OTAs. You can find me. But that did open up Jeremy Fowler. You know him?
I do.
Works for ESPN. If Aaron Rodgers decides no to the Steelers, what is he doing? Yeah. At this point, what are you doing?
He went full cryptic. You saw that, right?
Yes, but
not
still
playing for Chicago, but playing for a team that plays in Chicago, and the Steelers play in Chicago.
Get with your damn teammates.
He loves this. He loves this. It is what it is.
Could Pittsburgh look to Kirk Cousins?
I would say Kirk Cousins. I mean, I had some conversations with people this week that led me to believe that Cousins is at the very least on the Steelers' radar if something were to fall through on Rodgers. Now, here's how they could make that happen. Cousins has $37.5 million in guarantees between this year and next year. Somebody's on the hook for that, whether it's Atlanta or someone else. So to facilitate a trade, Atlanta would need a team to offset some of that money, whether it's $4 million, $20 million, whatever it is. But the feeling around the league is that Atlanta has not been willing to budge on this. They haven't shown a lot of interest in trading Cousins. It would take a hefty price tag for another team to wiggle that out. As one source told me, if they were willing to take a small percentage, like let's say 7 or 8 million of that money, a deal would be done by now. There was interest earlier in the offseason. Right now, Pittsburgh might be the only hope for Cousins, or he's sort of stuck in Atlanta.
You know what, Atlanta, don't try to use Jeremy Fowler as your mouthpiece on this.
No, somebody wants him.
You gave Kirk Cousins an albatross of a deal. We knew it at the time, which is, why are you giving him this much money? Then you went and drafted a quarterback in the top 10 right after you signed Kirk Cousins.
And your owner and general manager are on camera clearly being like, what?
Well, guess what? Right call, because Michael Penix Jr. was better than Kirk Cousins was last year. And if you want to use he was injured. Yeah, he was, because he's old and he's getting injured more and more often now.
And he's coming off an Achilles rupture.
This was a bad deal to begin with. You don't have leverage here. You're not saying, oh, well, it's going to take a hefty price. No, it's not. No, it's not.
You want him off your books, however you can get it done and be done with it.
And get the conversation just out of your locker room of Michael Penix, it's your team. Here's the reins. You take it. The distraction will never be there. If Michael Penix Jr. has a bad game, and he will, because it's the National Football League and everybody goes through it. Everybody goes through these growing pains, whether you're Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady, Peyton Manning. They all went through those games in their second seasons in the NFL especially, where it's going to get ugly. And you don't want people sitting there calling for Kirk Cousins to come in off the bench because the most popular guy in every town is the backup quarterback. Get him out of there. Send him on his merry way. You're going to have to bite the bullet and eat an awful contract. That's okay, because you guys made your bed. You got to go and sleep in it now. But to sit there and say it's going to take a hefty price tag, no, it's not. You're going to pay a lot of money for him to go and play somewhere else.
Totally random, but did you see with their the Falcons center and Penix, they'll have a left-handed snapping center and a left-handed quarterback?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah,
that's you
don't see it very often.
That's like a unicorn. You don't see that very often.
Yeah, well, ever.
Yeah,
I've never seen a unicorn. Have you?
No, I mean,
Have you? What are you taking, buddy?
You do the right stuff. You can see all kinds of things. But I started thinking about that. I'm like, do you have to fundamentally change just how you basically do everything?
No. It's just a weird to having the left-handed quarterback. It is weird. You got to get used to the ball spinning the opposite direction if you're a receiver. And I'm assuming it's the same if you're a quarterback and just the way that snap. But if he has a dead snap, it really doesn't matter how it's coming back.
It's just kind of like a weird thing. But like your blind side's on the other side. Like, does everything kind of flow a little bit different?
No, not from your center's perspective. Because I mean, if anything, you have to be able to snap and punch either way with your right-handed. So. I don't think it should matter.
Right?
It shouldn't matter at all.
It just got me thinking. I'm like, should that? Do they? Like,
No.
it just looking at it, I'm like, what looks off about this? And I was like, oh, that's what it is.
If anything, it may be of a benefit because you can punch to help your right guard, which is usually not as good as your left. Right? I mean, you can snap and you can get that hand up just a little bit quicker.
Yeah,
it shouldn't be that big of a. It is a weird thing that both of them are lefties though. That because there's just not very many left-handed people out there.
Yeah, I mean, there's not that many left-handed quarterbacks for sure.
Well, I think that may have a little bit to do with maybe the nuns not slapping the left-handed out of people anymore. See? That's what happened to my parents.
Got to bring it back.
They came in with that ruler and whap, and both of my parents, they're ambidextrous because of it. Yeah. My dad's still left-handed. He writes left-handed.
LeBron James, left-handed.
You ever seen a lefty write on a chalkboard?
Yeah, it's terrible.
It's awful because they can't do it.
Yeah.
They erase it all the way down. So
it was even worse on the overhead projector because
they have to either contort their arm in a weird way or they have to hold the very end of the pen.
Like a little kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, the overhead
projector sucks for you guys.
The overhead projector, anytime you had a left-handed kid in class who had to go up there and write on the overhead, they're always just smearing everything.
Yeah. They don't have those anymore.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. They don't do the overhead projector thing.
We can't shame the lefties anymore.
Getting in trouble, you'd have to miss recess and clean off that reel on the
Oh,
overhead
God.
projector.
Those chemicals, I'm sure, were good for us too.
It's fine. Whatever.
It's like, it's Windex with additional ammonia.
Whatever. It's no worse than the glue they gave us.
That's true. They used to ask us to bring in the rubber cement. You know how many kids were just huffing that stuff?
I am looking at one. All right. I bet Kirk Cousins never did that, though. He never would. Never would. Especially, he was in his a cappella group.
That's true, yeah.
You know? What was it called? What was
I
his a
can't
cappella?
remember.
Where he did
Was
the
it
hand
Rockapella?
He did a hand signal with it. I don't know. It was like
It was the most Kirk Cousins thing you'd ever seen.
it was something lame, like the Troublemakers, like what was that movie?
The Tone Rangers.
It's like mandatory. You have to have a very stupid name in an a cappella group.
Yeah. I mean, it's got to be punny.
Yeah.
It's got to be punny. All right. There's your NFL OTA's little whip around there.
Love it.
We got something done there. All right. In the college ranks, you see the fighting going on between conference commissioners.
Yeah.
Greg Sankey he's on a mission right now.
I will not go quietly into the night.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You can't have it both ways, Greg. You can't have it both.
He's gonna try.
People don't forget.
He's going to try.
Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
It's back.
Destin, Florida. That is where the SEC is doing their meetings. Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the Southeastern Conference, is on quite the mission down in Destin. He is he's out there trying to play both sides of this thing. And I don't blame him for doing it, but the reality of it is you can't. As the SEC and the Big Ten seized the power of college football and really college athletics and changed it. And the SEC was at the forefront of it. And now there is a growing sense that, hey, as the Big Ten and SEC ask for more, that they are going to be in charge. And what about the good of the game? And I don't know if you saw this from Sankey, but he said, you know, his job is not for the good of the game. His job is for the good of the SEC. I'm paraphrasing that. But he said he is the conference commissioner of the SEC, and he needs to look out for the best interests of the SEC. And I take exception to that because as a conference commissioner, yeah, you are beholden to your universities and your conference. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But in an organization where it lacks leadership and there is a void of leadership, one of the things that conference commissioners need to be are stewards of the game. Mm-hmm. And in college football, especially because the governance is run really by the college football playoff, which is a separate entity of the NCAA. Mm-hmm. The NCAA doesn't play in the party of the college football playoff. It does it on its own. And so the good of the game is really important, and it should be important to all of the conference commissioners across the sport. And what Greg Sankey is saying is that I don't care about anybody else except for the SEC. And he should care about the SEC. But to sit there and say that you are going to fight tooth and nail for how the playoff seeding is, the reality of it is every single metric that is being proposed for the college football playoff, whether it's a 16-team or a 12-team playoff, and whether it's a 16-team playoff where there's 4 automatic bids to the SEC, 4 to the Big Ten, or 5 guaranteed spots and then 11 at-large bids, all of it favors the SEC. Mm-hmm. No matter what, they are going to get a majority of those playoff bids. And so save me the only thing I care about is the SEC. You have got to do good for the rest of college football because that's the bread and butter is the idea of college football.
Yeah, this whole idea like we're the best, we run this. Go run a 16-team league and play by yourself and see how much money you get.
Yeah.
You need everyone else. You do. And they have to figure that out. It's the whole, like, I've mentioned this before, that whenever there's a power vacuum, somebody is going to gobble up that space. It doesn't matter if it's politics. It doesn't matter if it's war. It doesn't matter if it's sports. If there is a power vacuum, somebody is going to gobble that up. Mm-hmm. And if you don't do the necessary work to put the barriers around it, they will overtake and become domineering. And you take a look at the Big 12 and the ACC, and we kind of roll our eyes at it, but they have to be a part of this. They have to matter. They have to have a vested interest because otherwise they branch off and the product as a whole becomes less. We've already gone through this with the Pac-12. Mm-hmm. We already saw good schools get left behind and we're worse off for it. Now, the overall product, in a sense, might be better and more homogenized, but it doesn't make sense. As we sit out here and we say this because it's happening in our backyard, but even if you look at the greater college football landscape, it has to have there has to be a balance to it.
Yeah.
We all talk about the open market and the markets dictate things. Yeah, but if the market's controlled, then it's not an open market.
Yeah.
And the product becomes lesser.
He said, I don't need lectures from others about the good of the game or coordinating press releases for the good of the game. Because the Big 12 in the ACC, though they weren't technically press releases, they both had their conference commissioners release statements saying we need to look at what is better for the good of the game. Mm-hmm. And those two guys are doing exactly what Greg Sankey is saying he's doing, which is, all right, hey, why don't we go 4-4-2-2-1, and that one being that at large is either Notre Dame or, which it would most years be Notre Dame, or it would be the highest ranked team from the SEC or the Big Ten. Like, that's how it would go out in the playoffs. So you're guaranteeing yourself 4 spots. The problem that Greg Sankey is posing here is that all I'm looking out for is the SEC. Where there would be major fractures is if there is just 2 major conferences, and they are as small as they are. He also started all of the dominoes to fall when they went and they pillaged not just the Texas and Oklahoma, but when they went and they got Missouri and A&M. And they started the first round of expansion. Then they started this most recent one that led to the demise of the Pac-12. With great power comes great responsibility, right? Our cartoons taught us that. And when we go,
Shout out Uncle Ben.
When you go down that road of saying, well, I just don't care about anybody else, well, you probably should, because they also grease your skids too.
Yeah.
And they make your contracts more valuable too. And it just doesn't sit right with me that he takes the stance of, screw everyone else.
Yeah, it boils it down to being too simplistic, but the world needs ditch diggers too. Like, you have to have the blue collar and the white collar, otherwise this doesn't work. And this whole idea, like, are you better than them? Sure, but you can't do it without them.
No, you can't.
Because you can control your SEC country and all your networks and all that kind of stuff. No one outside your region is going to care.
Yeah.
That's just the reality of it. That's just how this has always worked. And you can't bludgeon it to death to make it make sense.
Makes me sad.
And this is the problem with the expansion stuff. And this is the problem with all of the changes in college football, is that and this is what I've always hated the NCAA for so long, is just being blinded by power.
In the way that he frames it and poses it, he's acting like Vanderbilt and Mississippi State are his bread and butter too. They're not.
They're not. Come on, man.
They are not. If you want to look at, and this is the problem, and I know that Beav and Coug fans are really upset about this, is that historically those two programs, they've been better than both of them.
Yeah, short term, long term, however you want to put it. I mean, that's been the reality, but because of where those other schools are geographically located and where these schools are geographically located,
they got a seat at the table first.
Yeah,
it was what led to Oregon State and Washington State scratching, clawing, and fighting for anything right now. And that sticks in my craw, because the Cougs and the Beavs deserve better.
Yes, they do.
They deserve better. And they're not getting better because of the realignment that started with that first domino falling of Texas and Oklahoma. And that's one of those days in college sports that people should never forget, which was SEC Media Days, when everybody was caught off guard about the fact that Texas and Oklahoma, it was leaked out by, I think, A&M's AD, that Oklahoma and Texas were trying to weasel their way into the SEC. And that was an ugly day, because everybody's like, oh boy, here we go again.
Yeah.
Because at first it was, can the Pac-12 absorb the Big 12? Leadership's a problem.
Oops.
And that's the other thing too, is that Greg Sankey, he is a far superior leader than anything that the Pac-12 had in Larry Scott and George Kliavkoff.
It just put them in a position where there was no outcome that was tenable.
Yeah, I don't think it's a good look, but it's also, all right, does this lead to, whether it's Tony Petitti of the Big Ten to step in and now be a larger voice of reason for the world of college football?
Does he become the bridge? Because Sankey may have gone a little too far.
And will people turn on him? That is going to be the interesting thing to see moving forward, because he has had the backing of everyone to this point.
And that'll be the interesting turn, is if, again, it becomes like a Game of Thrones kind of situation.
Yeah.
And it's like all over power and money. It's all very dumb. All right, coming up next for our worst day on the web, I am 12, but in real life.
Oh, boy.
It's incredible. We'll get to that.
Sign me up.
But first, here's Big Goon with Sports Center Update.
Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, the Pacers look to take a commanding 3-1 lead before the series heads back to New York. Aaron Nesmith is a game-time decision for Indiana with a sprained ankle. 5 o'clock tip on TNT and Max. Coverage over on 910 ESPN Portland starts at 4:30. The Pacers are 2.5-point favorites. Nuggets guard Russell Westbrook said this morning he's having hand surgery to repair 2 fractures he suffered during the season. Florida Gators big Alex Condon pulling out of the NBA draft and will return to school for his junior season. The Mariners back home now after dropping 3 of 4 to the Astros, hosting the Nationals for a 3-game set. Logan Evans on the bump for Seattle. Mitchell Parker for Washington. 6:40 first pitch on Root Sports. And Game 4 of the Western Conference Final in Edmonton as the Stars look to even the series with the Oilers. Puck drops at 5 o'clock on ESPN. The Oilers minus 150 on the money line. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
It's back. The 11th annual Fan Golf Classic at Langdon Farms Golf Club happens Tuesday, June 24th. Presented by your local Toyota dealers. Reserve your foursome now at 1080thefan.com. It's time for today's worst day on the web. with Danny and Dusty on Odyssey and 1080 The Fan.
Well, that sucks.
Gentlemen, imagine for a second if you could go from your physical peak as a man.
So now?
Yeah. The pure apex body of Jeff Rust. And go back and play JV high school sports.
Oh, boy.
Because that's exactly what happened down in Sacramento.
Not surprising.
A 24-year-old was playing JV soccer and has been arrested for felony impersonation.
Yikes.
24. This is the Bad News Bears I Am 12 with a photo and a 20 being handed over.
I'm looking at a photo of this kid.
This kid is jacked.
Or this man.
Yeah.
He has a tattoo on his quadricep.
Yeah.
like a very large tattoo. It's like, you're supposed to be playing JV soccer. Why isn't he didn't even make the varsity team? You're 24, dude. Give it up, bro.
Did he try out? Did he move into there's a lot of things that are missing.
So
from
there were a ton of questions that I had. One, how in 2025?
Because this is not a birth, this is going to have racial undertones to it. This is not a birth certificate issue of somebody from a foreign nation.
Well, that's what it was, because he had a Venezuelan birth certificate and his name was Anthony Labrador.
Yeah. This is a white. This is the whitest of whites we have ever
Anthony
seen.
Labrador.
It's
he's I wanted to go with Bill Retriever, but had to settle with Anthony Labrador instead.
Yeah. It's what? If I see that birth certificate and I see that dude, I'm immediately hitting him with the worst Spanish that I can. And if he can't get it, I'm going, nah, dog.
Man, that is he probably just went with, I moved here when I was a kid. I was just born in Venezuela. That is crazy. Now, here's where the story got a little sideways. Okay. He got caught. Not because they actually fact-checked his birth certificate or said, hey, man, you look a little bit older than everybody else here.
Mm-hmm.
It was because they were playing against somebody else, and there was an older brother on one of the teams that goes, hey, I played with him.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't even move. In order to do this, you need to move to somewhere. You need to move across the country, not stay in the same town and be like, wait a minute, I played with that guy. I know that. That's a man.
That's a man.
That's a man.
Where's Gundy when we need him?
Now,
I'm a man. I'm 40. In this case, it's 24.
Yeah, in JV soccer, you're playing against kids that are 13 and 14 years old. So you have a full decade on some of these kids. That is crazy. What was he hoping to get out of this?
I have no idea. You get a scholarship?
Yeah, I don't know.
Look, I mean, this gets into some other stuff, but China has sent basketball prospects over here. You know this about the Hoop Summit. It's happened a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
There was one kid, I think he was 23. They tried to say he was 17. It was that's a grown man, dog. And again, we're talking about playing with guys that are incredibly high caliber.
Yeah.
So it's not quite as Zion Williamson came in at 16, and I was like, why is there a 16-year-old Lawrence Taylor standing here? There have been some guys that have come through there. You're just good God.
Which a legit flat top on Zion would be awesome.
He had one.
I'm talking the high,
the
higher.
higher, yeah.
He had it cut pretty low.
Yeah.
I know he did.
In high school, he had the square top.
Going full on LT, putting some steps in that would be amazing. By the way, you can go to jail for this, and he is now being held on $50,000.
Oh yeah, because he didn't just forge the birth certificate. He got a license, a social security card, residency.
Dang.
What else was it in there? There was a whole bunch.
Now, we might have some listeners that remember.
Oh, and federal temporary protected status. So all of these records, each one of them is a charge.
This happened locally, in 2002 or 3. This story happened. I think the guy went to Grant High School.
Mm.
I'm pretty sure he went to Grant. The text police 503-864-6326. You may remember, but I think he played basketball, and he was like played JV basketball maybe at Grant, and he went there.
Grant was good at basketball back then too.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was Grant, but this happened locally, but it was like 20 plus years ago.
Look, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, I bet you could get away with this pretty damn easily.
Oh yeah.
I mean, not only is it just records are easier to manipulate back then, but not like we've seen the pictures of like Penn State's college football team from like 1991. These dudes look like 33.
They all look 30, yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And you're talking, more I'm not talking the seniors, like incoming freshman type of deal. You're just like, it was like, we eulogized Norm the other day. He was like 34 on the show.
Yeah. And he looked like
he was 45.
50. Yeah. I mean, he was, times were tough back then. You were putting some miles
a lot
on
of
you.
city miles, not a lot of highway miles
No,
back
man.
then. And so like, yeah, occasionally you'd see a dude that like a high school senior looks like he's seen some things.
Yeah. Well, this guy has, because he has a decade on a lot of the kids that he was playing against.
He couldn't just drink. Like he could drink. He could almost rent a car.
And he did it for soccer and swim team.
Like,
That's
didn't even get the juice out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Dude, go out and play football. Like, let's go.
Go Terry Tate some fools. You know what I mean? It also makes like the Derrick Henry and Ndamukong Suh and Haloti Ngata high school tape just look that much more terrifying.
Yeah.
Knowing that those guys were 16 and 17 years old.
I mean, I have a couple of friends that they say that about me when I was a kid, because I was held back a year and they were a grade below me. And I was like 2 years older than them.
Yeah.
It was a pretty distinct, like in like elementary school.
Oh God, yeah.
2 years is significant.
Yeah, I mean, that's massive. I mean, you hit that growth spurt, 2 years before everybody else, you're a foot taller and 40 pounds heavier. I know, because I was on the other end. I was the youngest. I went into high school as a freshman. I was 5'2", $120.
Yeah, no. Boy, that is small.
Oh, I was tiny.
That is very small.
I was a tiny man.
That was
I grew a little more than 8 inches and put on 80 pounds almost in the span of like 4 months.
Yeah, that'll happen to you. They had that Anthony Davis treatment.
I had the massive growth spurt when I was a freshman in my sophomore year.
Hey, shout outs to this guy for trying, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I guess, but poor execution, bud. You should probably move a little bit further than across the town that you were living in.
Right? Like
7 years, not enough time for people to forget who you are.
You gotta go multiple states.
Multiple
states.
Yeah, you can't just stay in the same town. And I guess it was like the kid who's like, "Hey, I played against him." His parents were like, "No, you gotta be wrong." And then he's like, "No,
I'm pretty
here's
sure."
multiple pictures, and they're like, "Well, yeah, you're right."
He had that same tattoo in high school. Turns out he's 28.
So bad. Oh man. Now here comes the other one though. Was this creep like dating high school girls?
God. I didn't even get that far yet.
Like think of that. Like
he's going to classes, right?
He's going to high school. Like, how is he living? What is he doing?
Right?
How? I have so many more questions now.
14 years old driving to high school.
He's like, oh.
Like, hey guys, why does this guy have a full-on sedan?
Yeah, it's my mom's.
Yeah,
it's my mom's. We've never seen your mom. You dated my mom.
Yeah. Why is your mom 60? What's going on here? So yeah, this is all very, 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 very dumb.
Yeah, not great.
So
not great.
And it didn't even go out there and just stunt on the kids.
No, he was just an okay JV soccer player.
That's gotta hurt.
When he tried out for his soccer team, do you think he was like, all right, now I'm gonna finally get my letter?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, you're gonna be on JV there.
Yeah,
Tony Labrador.
Set some state records.
Yeah.
Like, give me that guy. If you're gonna do this, go put records up that are just unbreakable.
Yeah, you got to be a dude.
Go Barry Bonds this thing.
Nah, he didn't. Yeah, do you think if you're gonna do this, go back to high school and ramp up on the HGH or something?
Go hit some nukes.
Yeah, be awesome. Not a JVOK soccer
Go out there
player.
with a metal bat in high school and go get some 114 exit velos. Just hit absolute tanks.
Upon further review, this may be that he just wasn't ready to give up his bleached tips because that's his hairstyle.
Oh, yeah.
He goes bleached tips. Maybe he just wasn't. He was like, gosh, once you leave high school,
Or he heard they were coming back. That's what it was.
Once you reach high school, you can't, or you're beyond high school, you can't bleach your tips of your hair anymore. I guess I'm just going to go back. I'm going to do this again. I'm going to run it back one more run. How long was he going to do this again?
Oh, dude, wife and I did a trip to the Woodburn outlets a couple weeks ago, and just our high school style is coming back.
Oh yeah, I know.
It's crazy.
Yeah, there's one of my son's buddies was wearing a puka shell necklace, and I was like,
Ed Hardy, Affliction, brother. My wardrobe from high school would be worth a fortune right now.
I think that may be more Woodburn than anything else.
No, it's Washington Square. I've been seeing it in there too. It's crazy. It's like not just in the stores, people wearing it. I'm like, this is all coming back.
I refuse to believe anybody's wearing Affliction these
days. Dude, it's so much bedazzling.
No.
It's crazy.
No. I know that the baggy jeans are back though.
Yeah, and cargo shorts.
That's a bridge too far.
They're back, man.
No.
Pockets, baby.
No. You don't need that many pockets, kids.
Pockets.
You don't need that many pockets.
Where else are you going to put your tots?
Right? All right, so yeah, there you go. This guy doing it all wrong. Well, speaking of doing it wrong, but still coming back, Tyrese Halliburton's dad being brought back to an NBA arena near you. We'll get to that next year on Danny Dusty, the Fan.
Check out
I have mixed emotions on this one. Tyrese Halliburton's dad avoided becoming beaten to a bloody pulp only because the patience of Giannis Antetokounmpo is exponentially higher than most humans, I think, on the planet.
Ooh, yeah, good on him.
If you haven't seen the video of Halliburton's dad accosting Giannis post-game and talking all of the S in the world to a guy who just lost a playoff series and is contemplating life and existence and everything that's going on in Milwaukee for 12 years for him, the look on Giannis's face, you can just see him processing, should I end this man's life right here, right now, in front of everybody?
First, it was, who is this guy? And then it was like, oh my gosh, it's Halliburton's dad.
Yeah.
Should I?
Should I? And I don't begrudge him one bit.
No. What was his name? What's his name?
Oh, God.
John
totally,
Halliburton?
thank you.
John.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally blanking for a second. Thank you.
He was saying some offside stuff to a guy who has won a championship, has been an MVP, is one of the best players in the world. Yeah. And he went and he was saying some completely out of pocket things to Giannis Antetokounmpo. And to do that and invade their space, which is on the floor in the seconds after a game happens. We all know the Richard Sherman interview, right, with Aaron Andrews after he batted the ball down against Michael Crabtree.
Mm-hmm.
The emotions run. So there is a cooling off period.
Oh, yeah.
That it does need to happen, or you're going to get some S. And he did not allow that cooling off period. He invaded the space of the players, which is, look, if guys go up into the stands, got a problem with it. Don't go up into the stands. That's their space. Mm-hmm. Now, they may say some out-of-pocket stuff, and you can bark back at them, but you don't go into their space. For the fans, it's the same thing. You don't go on the court.
Do you remember the guy Jermaine O'Neal almost killed?
Which time? On the Malice at the Palace?
Malice at the Palace.
Yeah,
when
the guy who stepped in front of him sitting courtside.
The guy that slipped.
Yeah.
Like, he was going at Jermaine, and if he doesn't slip, Jermaine probably crushes him in a way we've never seen somebody hit at a sporting event. Like, J.O. threw that punch, and with good reason. There's a guy running at him, and it's a full-on fracas. Like, that, you could have seen somebody legitimately killed on TV right then and there.
Yeah.
I know I have always been a proponent of, people should get hit. You go invade a guy's, like, you go on a field, you go on a court, I don't feel sorry for you.
No.
I whatever happens to you at that point in time, that's between you and your God. Because you have crossed a line that you are not supposed to cross. And no, I'm not asking for, people to get hit, but if you go run at a dude like that in that position.
Now, I also believe, though, that John Hallebertton should be able to go and watch his son play basketball on the highest stage, on the biggest stage, and at the highest level. He shouldn't be sitting courtside anymore. He shouldn't have access to courtside anymore.
He shouldn't have any access. At most, he should be in a suite off the floor.
Yeah. Gosh dang, he's got to go sit in a suite for the whole game?
I'm just...
Yeah,
come
on. I'm with you, though.
If it's me, I wouldn't let him in the building.
Yeah,
any other fan's banned for life for what he did.
He has got... But he's not any other fan, and we know that there's that sliding scale, just like there is with... talented athletes, you can get away with more. Well, having a uber talented son who wants you there, you're going to be able to get away with more. Now, if anything else would have happened with Giannis, wouldn't have batted an eye one bit.
I'll say this right now. I mean, John Morant's got guys that aren't allowed in the building in Memphis anymore.
Well, they crossed a line.
They did.
I mean,
laser pointers.
Yeah, laser pointers.
Yeah.
At a team's bus. Mm-hmm. And what we don't know is how much contrition John Hallebertton showed and how he actually does feel.
And I would imagine there was probably some beverages that had taken place, and that probably won't be allowed.
And there's going to be, there's been a lot of tough conversations he's had to have in order for this to happen, you would hope. But at the same time, Halliburton
and Giannis,
people will learn.
Both handled that about as good as you can.
Absolutely.
Hallie didn't go, oh, my dad didn't know. He was like, no, Pops was out of pocket.
Yeah, that wasn't right. That's not okay.
We've had that discussion.
Yeah.
And
what would Tyrese Hallebertton have done if Giannis's dad is doing that?
Yeah.
So
it's all very dumb.
I think he needs to write Giannis a thank you card.
Mm-hmm.
Because
thank you for not putting my old dumb dad in the hospital.
Yeah, and if John Halliburton does get punched, I don't think we see him back.
No.
And there's every reason for Giannis to do it, and nobody would have cared.
In that moment, I was stunned.
Yeah.
And it speaks to Giannis's character.
A ton.
Like,
a ton.
It really does. All right, speaking of that series, we got more coming up.
Ooh.
We got more coming up. Pacers, Knicks. The Knicks stave off that dreaded 3-0 with a little bit of their own magic, not of their own making, but maybe being forced. We'll get to that next year on Danny Dusty, 1080 The Fan.
I'm Chelsea.
Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Jeff Rust with your Sports Center update. First on The Fan, the Pacers look to take a commanding 3-1 lead before the series heads back to New York. Aaron Nesmith, a game-time decision for Indiana with a sprained ankle. 5 o'clock tip on at TNT and Max. Coverage on 910 ESPN. Portland starts at 4:30. The Pacers are 2.5-point favorites over the Knicks. Nuggets guard Russell Westbrook said this morning he's having hand surgery to repair 2 fractures he suffered during the season. Florida Gators big man Alex Condon pulling out of the NBA draft and will return to school for his junior season. Over on the ice, Game 4 of the Western Conference Final in Edmonton as the Stars look to even the series with the Oilers. Puck drops at 5 o'clock on ESPN. The Oilers minus 150 on the money line, and the Mariners back home after dropping 3 of 4 to the Astros, hosting the Nationals for a 3-game set. Logan Evans starting for Seattle, Mitchell Parker for Washington. 6:40 first pitch on Root Sports. The Mariners lead over the Astros in the AL West down to a game and a half. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
More, please. Golf in the Northwest with Jason Swigart is back. Saturdays at 8 a.m. before the Sinner and the Saint on Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan. Danny Meringue.
And then I went to this movie theater, and I made a noise like this.
Dusty Hera.
Then this was horrible. All the people started getting sick and throwing up all over each other.
I'm beginning to like this kid, Mike.
This is Danny and Dusty on the Odyssey app and Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan.
Hour number 3 here on Danny and Dusty on a Tuesday afternoon. Whether you're listening along on 1080 AM, watching along on youtube.com/1080am the fan, or twitch.tv/1080am the fan. We appreciate you. We love you on this wonderful, wonderful Tuesday outside. It's quite nice.
Mason Rudolph looks like Farva. He's slowly morphing into Farva. He's on the TV right now because he's currently the Steelers starting quarterback.
It's the mustache.
He's got Farva vibes. If he gets a flat top, second flat top reference of this show,
And a liter of cola.
But he can't do a
Farva.
flat top because he's got glorious lettuce.
He does got great hair.
He's got illustrious flow.
Great hair. If he is setting this up to be Farva for Halloween, I'm here for it.
By the way, Super Troopers 3 coming out.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I saw a preview for it the other day.
Oh, good for them.
Yeah. I was like, you know what? Let's bring this back.
Yeah, keep running it back.
Milk
Why
that
not?
cow.
Why
But Super
not?
Troopers 2, not good.
I didn't see it.
It was.
Is that streaming anywhere?
Yeah, I don't know. It was not good. It was definitely. Was it the Broken Lizard? That's the name of the group.
Yes.
So they've had some misses, unfortunately. But I have high hopes for.
It's on Hulu.
There you go. Speaking of some misses, the Indiana Pacers had some misses late in the game against the New York Knicks, and after building was a 17-point lead.
It was 20 after one quarter.
Was it 20 at the end of? I thought the Knicks hit one. It was 16 at the end of the first.
Yeah.
Or I know they got at least 17 in the first before the Knicks closed that gap in the first quarter. But unintentionally, the Knicks may have found something in this series because of Jalen Brunson's foul trouble. Jalen Brunson is an incredibly good player. Incredibly good. Yeah. And he fits with what they do so well. And obviously Rick Brunson, the assistant coach, being his dad, that's a big part of it. And the relationships that he has with Leon Rose, the general manager. But Brunson has really, through a lot of the playoffs, I don't want to say he's been detrimental, but he's been tunnel visioned where it's been all Brunson all the time.
Yeah.
And if you're going to go out and go get Karl Anthony Towns, you do need to find a way, because look, Tibbs has coached Towns before, not just here, but obviously in Minnesota. You know the shortcomings of Karl Anthony Towns. He's not going to be forceful with action on either end. He can disappear. He can be a $45 million 7-foot paperweight and just be out there getting cardio in. But if you use him, he could be incredible, and that's what you saw. You got a 20-point fourth quarter from Karl Anthony Towns because all of a sudden the ball was going through him. And look, Cat is one of the best shooting big men in NBA history. Let that sink in for a second. He is one of the best shooting big men in the history of the league. That is without argument. Now, he's not the best shooting big man of all time. Dirk Nowitzki holds that crown. You're not taking it. Cat has an argument for being the best three-point shooting big man of all time. There's a real, you can get to that without it being like something that's sacrilegious. It's on the table. But if you're not utilizing him and you're not trying to get more out of him, because throughout the playoffs, I heard Knicks fans complaining, well, they're not using Cat. They're not doing that. I was like, yeah, but But I think they do have a point now because he was underutilized. But as I sat there and I watched the film, Dusty, there were so many times in the first couple of games in this series and in the last series against the Celtics, the first time he set a screen with real physicality and then relocated with real force would have been the first. So it was a chicken or the egg. Like, do you get him going or does he need to get himself going by being more active? Jalen Brunson picking up those fouls and being dumb in those situations when he absolutely had no business being that forced the Knicks to go away from Jalen Brunson, and it opened up their offense.
Yeah, but you don't trust Cat.
No.
And you can't, because if that's what forces him at this point, you're in the Eastern Conference Finals, and you are down at this point 2-0, and you lose both at home, and your team needs it, and you don't come out assertive and forceful. What more do we need to see from Karl-Anthony Towns? It's not like he's in his second or third year in the league. It's not like this is his first playoff run that he's ever been in. This is your,
11?
He is who he is. And are we going to imagine that after a decade in the NBA, he's going to change his stripes and all of a sudden become some Tiger? No, he's not. And that is the infuriating part about him because of how talented he is. But you never know when it's going to click for him. And in this instance, it was Jalen Brunson going out. But there's been times when he was in Minnesota that it was like, dude, your team needs you. And everybody was staring at him going, all right, Cat, this is your time. And he just didn't show up.
The interesting thing was also going into that game is the rigid Tom Thibodeau made
more than 6 guys?
Made a starting lineup change. Josh Hart to the bench, Mitchell Robinson out there starting. And they went bigger, and here we talked about this, who could impact pace more. Final score of this game, 106-100. Without knowing who won the game if the score is 106-100 between the Knicks and the Pacers.
Knicks win.
Without looking what anybody did in the box score, Pacers took 77 shots, the Knicks took 78. If you told me that, I said Knicks win. Knicks win. That's just not – the Pacers want to play – in the 1-teens, the 120s. They want to get out and run and run and run. And it wasn't like the Knicks bludgeoned them on the offensive glass. It was 9-6. But they were bigger, they were more methodical, they were more physical. And honestly, this was a game that I want to give the Knicks credit the same way I've given the Pacers credit when they took game 1. The Pacers kind of gacked this one away.
Yeah.
They had that, was it 17-3 or 20-3 run in the second quarter, and I was like...
That's when they went up 55-35.
Yeah,
they had a 20-point lead.
You're right.
With 3 minutes and 20 seconds to go. They went on that run, and that's where it ended, and it was like, oh boy.
That was one of those ones where I've got my office, and I've got the monitors right here, and then I've got the TV to the right of me, and that's the Xbox is on the monitor on the right-hand side. And I started doing the chair swivel and hit the boop and fire up the Xbox. I'm like, all right, I can play a game of 2K or something while I'm waiting for halftime to process through. This game might be done.
This series, though, and really all of the playoff games, we talked about this at the beginning of the playoffs, where you can't just sit there and say that no lead is safe anymore because the playoffs are different. The playoffs aren't any different. How many double-digit leads have we seen, 20-point leads get blown in these playoffs? And that was always like a safe space for you once you got into the postseason. It's not anymore. And it doesn't matter if you're the Oklahoma City Thunder, where you can score in bunches, and you can be down by 29 points and rally back. Or if you're a team like the New York Knicks where you're down 20 points and you barely scored 100. Like you were down by 20 and you only scored 106 points and were able to win the basketball game.
And you had Deuce McBride come in early in the game, pick up 3 fouls in what was like a minute and 20 seconds or something like that. Nope, got to give him the hook. Landry Shamet comes out there and gives you some, it was very interesting because not only Jalen Brunson going out for some of the offensive burden to fall on or a lot of the offensive burden to fall on Karl-Anthony Towns, all of a sudden with Jalen Brunson off the floor, you're significantly better defensively with Deuce out there, with Shamet out there. You're playing a style of basketball that isn't so reliant on Jalen Brunson on both ends of the floor. Or on offensive end, you're reliant on him, but also defensively, you're reliant on him getting beat, kind of a deal. And I thought the Pacers did a poor job of adapting to that. You saw Tyrese Halliburton for the first time maybe get a little bit passive. You saw TJ McConnell get, like, if you look at the box score, McConnell has finished as 5 of 9. But there was a period in the third quarter where McConnell's out there, and he just didn't look like TJ McConnell. Like, he was forcing the action, taking shots. You're just like, what are you doing here, man? Like, it doesn't feel right. And it also forced the Pacers to make their first real adjustments, where Miles Turner has spent most of his time guarding Karl Anthony Towns, to where they put Siakam on Cat and Miles Turner on Josh Hart to kind of allow him to be a kind of a free roamer, because Cat was starting to cook, not as a shooter, but by putting his shoulder down and getting past Miles Turner and then bullying Pascal Siakam. Like, I always want to highlight this when we're talking about Cat. Cat is enormous. He is a legit 7-footer, barrel-chested, like 265, like, he's a big, strong dude. Now, we often forget how good he is in the post because he doesn't go there enough. Mm-hmm. But when you get him in that face-up game, 10, 12 feet, he's a real problem if he starts doing things, and it starts making the Pacers adjust instead of being the dictator of all the adjustments.
I'm worried for Indiana, though, with Nesmith, that ankle sprain at the end of that game.
It had to be helped off.
I don't like that.
And that's the thing, is, like, as good as Nembhard, like, Nembhard has been so good for them. We've talked about this with other players before. Sometimes players just, for whatever reason, it is their nightmare matchup. Jalen Brunson is about as good as a matchup for Nembhard as it exists. You would think Nembhard, wiry, strong, physical, twitchy, but Brunson chews him up and spits him out. So Nesmith has been the guy on Brunson. And if Nesmith's ankle, if the wheel's dinged up, which he rolled the hell out of that thing, I am a little leery of, like, what's going to happen here, because everyone's like, well, they've got Mathurin too. Do you know what Mathurin is in this series? In 40 minutes of action? He's at -31.
There's no way you can put him in that starting lineup.
It gets, like, they've got depth in theory, but, like, as far as, like, guys that you can trust to, like, how many guys can you really trust to guard Jalen Brunson? It's a tough assignment, man.
So who do you put in there, though? Are you going to put Ben Shepherd in there?
Probably.
In your starting lineup?
If Nesmith's dinged up, you might have to. Or if you want to stay a little bit bigger, you go with Mathurin and try to give him the additional cover. But
there is still no Aaron Nesmith update.
We should be due it in, 15 minutes?
We're getting close.
So at least the first one. So, because the game tips off at 5 our time. So, 2.5 hours. Yeah.
Is that right? 5 o'clock? Yeah, 5
o'clock. 8 o'clock tip Eastern, right?
Hot damn. Thank you, TNT, for giving us a 5 o'clock tip.
I love it. Well, they gotta do something to try to get the West Coast audience in there somehow.
Well, 5:30 is what ESPN's been doing.
Yeah, and
I don't like the 5:30 tip.
either.
I like the 5 o'clock. All right.
Well, like but with the East, they can't really go with the 5 o'clock or with the 5:30.
They can.
They got to go 5 o'clock.
They don't go to games.
They don't go to games. Well, I mean, like the 5 o'clock, and this is our West Coast brains. We are so spoiled with our start times out here that we can see everything that we want to. I mean, if you're really committed to it, like, you can watch all the games. Back east, an 8 or 8:30 start time is not as prohibitive as we see it out here.
No.
Like, if the people that complain about, like, a 7:30 college football kick, it's like, you guys do realize that primetime games on the East Coast, they start at 8:30, right? Like,
it's nasty work.
Like, Georgia fans aren't complaining about their primetime kick game. Now, if your complaint is that nobody on the East Coast is able to watch your 7:30 Pacific start time,
there you go.
Then you have a legitimate gripe. But the actual length of the game and what time you get home, They're starting those bad boys an hour later on the East Coast.
Nasty stuff.
Yeah, well, we just need to toughen up a little bit.
Well, even baseball has started to move up first pitch times. The Mariners for years, at home would be 7:10, and I think it's the last couple seasons now it's 6:40.
Yeah, makes a difference. It makes a difference.
It does.
And the games are faster.
Yeah, gotta love that. All right, coming up next, let's move to some college football as we take a look at the landscape heading into the college football season. If you were questioning, the NFL draft this year and quarterbacks, looking at this next crop and where things currently stand, you might be pining for the years of yore. We'll go to that next year on Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan. The world of college football goes as far as the quarterback world will take you. And taking a look at PFF, they've got their top quarterback rooms going into next year's class. And Dusty just took a phone call for his investigative journalism. We will, coming out of this segment, we are going into 100%. 100%.
The phone call that I just had was amazing.
Just so you know, that is literally the next thing we are going to talk about this because we have official on-the-spot investigative journalism and confirmation.
Yeah.
But you take a look at the top 10 quarterback rooms in the country.
College football.
College
football. Okay, back. I'm back.
And it is a barren landscape. It is not. Now, there are going to be guys that pop up here that are going to be risers, and there's going to be guys that fall short, and all the early mock NFL drafts and stuff like that. It's far too early. Who is the number one quarterback coming into this? Because I think if you asked average college football fan,
they'd say Arch Manning.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Texas is not in the top 10. They are an honorable mention.
Yeah. Yeah. But this is like your overall quarterback room, right?
Yeah.
And without Quinn Ewers, that there has been a dip at Texas because think of it, it's really hard to recruit quarterbacks, even when you have Steve Sarkisian. You're pumping out NFL talent when you have Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning that you're going to have to wait behind. So I get that. And as you take a look at this list, it is the good and the bad of the transfer portal, but mainly the extra COVID year that a lot of guys used at quarterback, especially that threw off having that freebie year. I mean, look at Oregon, for example. Yeah. They had Bo Nix and then they had Dylan Gabriel. And those two guys benefited greatly from having that extra time.
And a former Oregon Duck that was just drafted in Tyler Shuck.
That's right.
You talk about just Oregon-centric quarterbacks. That's three
where
they all had the extra time.
And that proved to be very valuable for all of these guys to have that extra year of eligibility, whether you use it or not. Quarterbacks have moved around, and there is an element of quarterback play is going to be at a high level, but at the same time, the familiarity with quarterbacks and a coach in a system, we don't have that. And we can't lean on that because what it always used to be is, hey, they've got this guy. He started for 2 years. He's going to be there. Now the transfer portal is, all right, this guy pops at one place. Cam Ward goes from Incarnate Word to Washington State to Miami. He's played in different systems. We knew that eventually Cam Ward was good, but you never know with the system, the development, and how they're going to use that guy because they don't have that mastery of the system when it's just 1 year, right? And when you look at who they have at number one, which is LSU, Garrett Nussmeier comes back. That is good.
Yep.
But then they also have Michael Van Buren, who is a backup. He's Nussmeier's backup. He was Mississippi State's starting quarterback.
And he was a 4/5 star, wasn't he?
He was a very highly touted recruit. He was down to Oregon at one point. He may have even been committed to Oregon.
I think he was.
Now
that you mention it.
But he's a guy that went through the portal, and so they have two SEC caliber starting quarterbacks,
plus 2 4-stars behind him,
which is really good to have when you have Garrett Nussmeier, and if he gets dinged up, you have somebody that you can kind of slide in there who's going to be pretty good.
And the interesting thing was Nussmeier was supposed to be a guy last year. And
Nussmeier was a dude last year. He was really good.
He was good, but I think people were expecting him to be a day one quarterback in the draft kind of a guy. And he didn't end up being that guy. That's okay.
Yeah.
It's a tough deal.
His season last year, Garrett Nussmeier was really damn good. And that's not where they were let down. He's going to be great with Brian Kelly. Their offense they're going to be humming. They're going to be humming. Nussmeier is good. That's a good number one.
But the interesting thing, it happens immediately on this list. At number 2 is SMU. Traditional quarterback powerhouse, Southern Methodist.
But they were a college football playoff team from a year ago. Kevin Jennings does come back. And then you have behind him a sixth-year guy, Tyler Van Dyke, who has made the rounds. Wisconsin, Miami, now he's there. Now you're starting to see it's the depth that these programs have.
And then at number 3, old Dilly Ball down in Arizona State, Sam Levitt, Westland's own.
Dude, Sam Levitt is going to be getting Heisman
He's
consideration
like
this
third
next year.
or fourth in the Heisman odds.
They
right
return almost everybody except for Cam Scadaboo.
And that's
a big
that's a big loss.
That's a big one. But at the same token, the development and growth that everybody saw in Sam Levitt from week 1 to where they finished off the season, Sam Levitt is going to get a ton of hype coming into this year. Makes great decisions. He's got a wizard of an offensive coordinator and head coach in Kenny Dillingham. And, oh, by the way, Marcus Arroyo is down there too, who is very good at quarterback play and development.
The interesting one here is you start going younger here right now. You go to number 4, Florida, with DJ Lagway, who is an incredibly highly rated recruit coming out, has a year under his belt, the weirdness that was Florida. And then this is a little surprising for me is Clemson's kid, Klubnik, who was the number 1 recruit in his class, wasn't he?
I don't remember. He might have been,
For some
That
reason,
sounds about
I
right.
thought he was number 1 in his class. But he was highly touted recruit, had, a good initial run and then regressed. I think it was, what he finished, 100 and...
2 years ago, he was just not good.
Yeah, 2 years ago, he finished 107th among FBS signal callers.
Not good.
In passing grades.
Yeah.
Per
Last
PFF.
year, he was good,
time
especially at
bounce
the
back.
end of the year. He was
Finished 5th.
really damn good last year.
From
at the end of the
107th
year.
to 5th. That's a massive improvement.
And now, look, it's also not just who the quarterback is, but Dabo Swinney is now contradicting himself again. Shocking that Dabo would do this.
Yeah.
But guess who's in on the portal now?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we all know.
Dabo Swinney is now. I'm not going to do it this way. Okay, whatever.
He figured it out.
Now, well, yeah, because he's forced to do it.
Yeah.
You're forced to do it.
Figured it out. If you're keeping count at home, you did not hear in the top 5 a single Big Ten school.
No, and that is to be expected when you think of, all right, Michigan's big hole last year was quarterback. They go out and they pay an exorbitant amount to go get a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State wins a national championship with Will Howard, who was a transfer quarterback. Oregon, Dylan Gabriel, a Heisman finalist, no longer with the program, and now you're going to Dante Moore, who has 1 year as a starter 2 years ago because he redshirted last year behind Dylan Gabriel. Like, that all makes complete sense. Wisconsin, not known for their quarterback play one bit, right? Where are you going to look?
Yeah, and USC went to Max, and that didn't work, and they ended up going to Maava, and then they ended up recruiting, one of the top quarterbacks in the country this year. Like, it's there's a change.
They do not have that swagger anymore at the quarterback position.
The continuation in the Big Ten comes in at number 7. Number 6 is Miami, which I found that to be a little bit surprising. I was like, Miami? All right, whatever. Number 7 is
Carson Beck is a good quarterback.
Yeah, I know,
and
but-
he's back to playing again.
Well, his arm's not falling off.
Yeah.
But at number 7, Penn State. And this is to me, this is Charlie Brown in the football. You can't make fetch happen. You can't make Drew Aller happen. I'm not going to buy it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It's fine. I don't wish anything ill for the kid.
Yeah.
I just can't.
He is a perfectly fine college quarterback. I don't get the NFL chatter. I just don't. He is a perfectly fine, good college quarterback.
Yeah.
Good college quarterback. He doesn't have, you think of where they were at the end of the year when you need your quarterback to make plays. All of his receivers were hurt too, it has not broke his way very often. But I don't get the NFL first round draft pick type.
I see Hackenberg 2.0.
I don't get it. I don't know what people see. And I've tried to talk to people about it, and they don't really have a good answer.
They like the idea of him
because his frame,
his arm.
He makes good decisions sometimes. Well, most of the time he makes good decisions, but
the ones
the
that
bad
bite
ones
him
you
are
go,
just-
whoa. I think there's a lot of people that evaluate quarterbacks that are the girl that dates the scumbag, and you're like, what are you doing? And she's
just-
like, I can fix him.
Yeah.
I can fix him.
There's a lot of Will Levis to him. There's a lot like, whoa, what was that? The only other Big Ten school on here is Ohio State.
Yep.
And I found that to be really surprising because they're basically starting from scratch. Now, it's Ohio State. It's a prospect, powerhouse, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. They got 3 of them.
Yeah.
They got 3 freshman quarterbacks this year.
And that's the thing is like, okay, but how many freshmen?
Or I think one's actually a sophomore.
Well, redshirt freshman. He was the number 2 recruit to Lagway.
Yeah.
What's his name? Julian Sand.
Well, Julian Sand is super talented. They think he is going to be very special.
Yep.
And then you just think of like that's a track record. They're in at 10. He's going to be far better than that expectation. And here's the thing. Good coaches, great staffs, and good recruiters, they will have talented quarterback rooms. This list right now, it's May.
Mm-hmm.
In October, we will not be talking about this list nearly the same. We may have LSU still at the top, but Ohio State,
once things kind of sort
will
themselves
be there.
through,
Texas will be out of that honorable mention, and everybody's going to go, okay, there's the starters.
If we start getting deep into camp and all of a sudden Arch Manning's out there doing the favored son thing, we're going to get a lot of that. But also, as it pertains to Ohio State, they maybe have the best wide receiver prospect we've seen in a decade.
Yeah.
Which is super helpful.
Alabama's got a pretty good one, too.
Yeah, he might be the second best we've seen of that crop.
Pretty
damn good. All right, coming up next, we've got to. Dusty in the break did some intrepid reporting, and we have some investigative journalism here on the radio program. We'll get to that next. But first, here's the Big Kahuna with the Sports Center update.
Hamburgers, the cornerstone of any nutritious breakfast.
Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
If you've been arrested for DUI, you need a team of attorneys into whom you can place your trust. Call Reynolds Defense Firm today online at reynoldsdefensefirm.com. First on the fan, the Pacers look to take a commanding 3-1 lead over the Knicks before the series heads back to New York. Aaron Nesmith is available to play despite his sprained ankle. 5 o'clock tip on TNT and Max. Coverage on 910 ESPN Portland starts at 4:30. The Pacers are 2.5-point favorites. Nuggets guard Russell Westbrook said this morning he is having hand surgery to repair 2 fractures he suffered during the season. Florida Gators big man Alex Condon pulling out of the NBA draft and will return to school for his junior season. The Mariners are back home after dropping 3 of 4 to the Astros, hosting the Nationals for a 3-game set. Logan Evans starting for Seattle opposite Mitchell Parker for Washington. 6:40 first pitch on Root Sports. And on the ice, Game 4 of the Western Conference Final in Edmonton. The Stars looking to even the series with the Oilers. Puck drops at 5 o'clock on ESPN. The Oilers are minus 150 on the money line. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Russ from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
It's back. The 11th annual Fan Golf Classic at Langdon Farms Golf Club happens Tuesday, June 24th. Presented by your local Toyota dealers. Reserve your foursome now at 1080thefan.com.
the brand man did some intrepid reporting.
Yeah.
And if you missed it earlier in the show, worst day on the web, a guy 24 years old went back to high school and played JV soccer and was caught forging everything. And Dusty reminded us that
Tony Labrador from Venezuela.
he's definitely neither of those things. But Dusty goes, I could have swore that happened here when we were in high school.
Yeah.
And it did indeed happen.
Yeah.
At Grant High School.
At Grant High School. And so I went to one of my 2 Grant High School insiders, one of them being Rashad Taylor, host of Sports Sunday.
Indeed.
And Hunt for the Host fame. And I asked Rashad, hey, didn't somebody who is like in their 30s or way older go to Grant like back when we were in high school? And he said DeAndre D'Angelo.
You could hear the smile hit his face as you asked.
And then he goes, Michael Backman.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa. Rashad was at Grant in 1999 when DeAndre D'Angelo was arrested. And then Rashad just went on to tell me all of these details. Like, he's like, this dude, he told us that he said he drove a sick red Camaro.
99 red Camaro.
Brand new red Camaro. He's like, he told us that Diana Ross was his aunt. And so I went and I started looking up this guy, and it's true. Like, okay, so the story is even crazier. There's a Newsweek article that kind of outlines everything that went into this. He was basically a con artist, like his whole life. He graduated from Grant
in 86.
In 1986. And he was like, one day he was doing a friend a favor because he'd been in and out of trouble for forgery and stealing cars.
Yeah.
Shocking. And so he was doing a friend a favor and took a friend's kid to school. And he was like in the high school, and the teacher goes, hey, aren't you supposed to be in class? So he was like, yep. And he just started going to school, forged papers that he went to Beverly Hills High School, started telling people he's Diana Ross's nephew, got forged a picture from Diana Ross to the choir teacher. Like, he was in the choir.
This is like a modern day version of not getting away with it, but Frank Abagnale.
Yeah, it really is.
Like for this, probably the kind of guy that you hire at the FBI, at the CIA. Like, this guy. This wasn't the only con or scam this guy pulled. Like, he's clearly very, very, very good with people.
Well, yeah,
very convincing. Like, when people try to like scam things, most people get caught because they're very dumb.
Yeah.
This guy got caught because he did too much of it. This guy convinced a senator to write a letter of recommendation for him on fake transcripts to go to the U.S. Military Academy.
To go to West Point, where he got in. He got in
and went and did the interview and crushed it.
That's crazy.
He
went to jail, by the way, for that.
Do you know what kind of person you have to be?
Yeah.
To ace those kind of interviews?
It's crazy.
You have to be a type A person to do that.
Oh,
this is not don't get me wrong, he did incredibly dumb things. This is not a dumb person.
Yeah. He also showed up after the West Point thing. He showed up to Lewis and Clark College in a limousine saying that under the alias of Adante D'Angelo Ross, and he was saying that he was Diana Ross's kid.
And played basketball at Beverly Hills High School.
And he ended up convincing Lewis and Clark to admit him, and then they called Beverly Hills High School, and they're like, yeah, we don't know who that is.
I love how he keeps going back to Beverly Hills High School, which means this guy had to have loved Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Like,
or 90210.
Like, I mean, just perfect.
I guess that was West Beverly, wasn't it?
Yeah. But I mean, like, everything, like, this is the kind of thing, we talked about this earlier. 30, 40 years ago, when it was harder to check this stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, this is where God, what's the old con movie with Robert Redford and God, The Sting.
Okay.
Yep.
This those kind of things happened where you'd have these long cons. Like, yeah, there's the old like heist tropes of like the Ocean's 11 type thing, but like the cons were like real things that happened forever because like verifiable facts weren't just readily available.
Yeah.
And this was a guy that did it over and over and over and over again. Like they elected him to student government.
I wonder what he's doing now.
7 to 10.
I mean, this was 99.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
the story's been updated since 2010. I tried to track down something else that was in there,
Yeah.
but I haven't been able to find anything. Like again, like this is the kind of guy that maybe he falls off the map because he does go and work for the government because they went, you know what?
Yeah.
We could use a guy like you.
I'm being dead serious
Yeah, I know.
when I say this. Like when people are really good at doing bad things, we hire them.
Oh, he's a senator. No.
He's the mayor of New York.
Man. Yeah. Wild story. Why that story is absolutely insane.
And he did all this and he didn't even play sports.
Yeah. Well, he did the choir. He did the choir.
Apparently he could really sing too. He did like the solo for Holy Night, I guess.
Well,
Like,
I mean, yeah, he probably did.
well, he is the nephew of Diana Ross.
Diana Ross, yeah. Yeah. You never know. Apparently he tried the con before saying he Beverly Hills High and Diana Ross were two big factors in his cons that he would play. He would say that she was his mother who would go down the road of, no, it's my aunt. He flipped that around. That's crazy. Wow. DeAndre D'Angelo.
Just
And Rashad Taylor was boots on the ground when he
That's
was
the thing
arrested.
is that name is the one that sounds made up.
that's a banger of a name. Tom Labrador sucks.
Tony.
I'm
It's
sorry.
Tony. It's Anthony Labrador.
That sucks.
DeAndre D'Angelo is
That's an R&B
awesome.
singer.
Yeah. Or it's like Rick Papagiorgio. It's the fake ID name that Russ Griswold gets in Vegas. DeAndre D'Angelo.
What's funny is that you see the interviews of the teachers, like, yeah, a few people will ask us, like, you sure he's 17?
Yeah.
But like,
nope. He's almost double that.
31.
Yeah. He must have looked young.
I did find a picture of him
Oh, you
like
did?
from around then. He does.
He looked young.
Yeah.
All
Like
right.
at the oldest, you'd say 24.
All right.
He just got the young looking face,
Yeah.
as it were.
Or maybe mature for a high schooler, but not quite old enough
yeah,
for you to raise an eyebrow.
Yeah, it doesn't look like grown man.
Yeah.
Certainly on the outer boundary, but not anything where like everyone's like, that dude ain't 17.
It's funny, like when I Googled DeAndre D'Angelo Grant High School, it popped up like Grant High 2002 20-year reunion. Which reunion do you think he goes to? Is he going to the 86? Can he go?
Also,
and that's a move too, to go to the same high school 13 years later. Because I had teachers in my high school that were there for like 20 plus years.
Yeah. Oh my God.
He must have been really forgettable his
At
first
Beerson,
round.
we had some lifers there, man. 20, 30, 40 years.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a crazy tale.
No one noticed, huh?
No, nobody noticed.
What's funny is whoever called him the tip has never been tracked down because it was an anonymous tip that got him
Oh, really? I
Yeah.
bet it was his parents. His parents called the cops on him
for stealing cars.
So
Yeah,
he's
if you look at
probably
his
done
early
it before.
early life, it's
It's not good.
not great.
Not good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
All right.
tough place to be. There you go. The intrepid reporting of One Dutch Sierra, and of course
I got it, man.
our source on the ground, Rashad Taylor.
Rashad Taylor.
Shout out Rashad.
Yep. He's doing the work for us.
All right, coming up next, we're up to today's show. The Knicks and the Pacers are getting underway for what could be probably the deciding game of this series, whether or not it's going to be a series or if the Pacers are just going to pack this thing up a little bit early. Pacers 2.5 point favorites. You taking them? Danny and Dusty, Danny the Fan.
respect. You ready, Ron? I'm ready.
Mr. Harrell, we going to get a series?
I'm ready, Slick. Are you?
The Pacers are 2.5-point favorites tonight against the New York Knicks. They lead the series 2-1. Can the Knicks pull this off and even up the series and give us some real drama in the Eastern Conference Finals, or are the Pacers going to grab that stranglehold 3-1 lead, of which we've only seen blown once?
Aaron Nesmith, I didn't think I'd be saying this at the beginning of the series, his health is going to mean a ton.
Mm-hmm.
And what level we get of Aaron Nesmith, because he has been lights out. He has been lights out for this Pacers team, whether it was him going unconscious, 8 of 9 from 3, or even if it was in the last game where he wasn't scoring in volume, but he was doing just enough to help them. And you think about the final moments of that game, and you think about a 36-20 fourth quarter where New York kind of slams the door shut and finishes off the 20-point comeback in that game. Nesmith goes out with the ankle. What level is he able to play at? And I know that Indiana is the deeper team that we think, but when you look at the bench play, it wasn't. Tibbs went to the bench a lot more than he has and a lot more than he's comfortable with in this playoffs because of how fast Indiana runs. Can they keep up the pace? Can they get the looks? And can Nesmith do enough on the defensive end? Boy, if we see this series flip to both teams winning on the road, watch out.
Home court doesn't matter. For those wondering, Aaron Nesmith is a go.
Hey!
He is a go for tonight's game. Just how functional he's going to be, how well that Toradol shot works, we'll see.
But think of this. Nembhard in this game, and like we don't look at plus minus all too much and carry much stock in it.
Mm-hmm.
Nembhard was -11, Pascal Siakam -21. Nesmith was -2 in that game.
Mm-hmm.
And when he left,
that's when the Knicks made their hay.
The finishing touches were put on that game.
We talked about this with the Thunder with Caruso and Dort. Yeah, they're not going to maybe get you a ton of points. Now, Nesmith did have the 8 of 9 shooting night in game 2. That was absolutely bonkers. But you're looking at him for the intangibles. Like this is when those guys really start to matter. And if you're short on the intangibles guys, then it requires the guys who get you the tangibles night in, night out to do a little bit more of the intangible. And it's harder to play at that kind of pace that the Pacers want to play at, which is breakneck even for the playoffs.
This is going to be a hell of a game no matter what.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for it. I really want, I have nothing against the Knicks, but I really want to see the Pacers in the finals because they're a team that is just built so differently and they're just so much fun to watch.
All right. Well,
there you go.
That does it for us. Tuesday already in the books.
And DeAndre D'Angelo.
Maybe we'll have a follow-up story on what he's doing now.
Check in. We'll get Everett Ropp there re-enrolling in high school.
Yeah. I think Ropp could pull off being 17.
Yeah.
He got that Benjamin Button going on.
There you go.
All right. We'll see you tomorrow from noon to 3. Up next, 4 hours of power. Their mouths to your ears. Prime time with us again soup right here on The Fan.
Bye. Don't put your meat on the internet if it's going to be that dark.
You want a mower that delivers a quality cut and an exceptional ride. You need the Kubota Z200 series with the new K-Ride.